Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yes, sir. You heard Benaniyah with another Fervent Friday. Now, I usually start at 11:30. So, I just got to move around. A lot of everybody usually probably be at work or, get things taken care of because we are on the day of preparation for the Sabbath. So, that day of preparation, everybody got to get their things in order, right? It's been a crazy week. But guess what? All praise to the Most High. Coming off a this is a great feast month, right? Shalom, shalom, Moses, right? Shalom, brother Yamin. Shalom, brother Jose. Shalom, Adiba, Yapa, my beautiful real, right? Been one of those weeks, man. I don't know if y'all been paying attention to what's going on, right? These Edomites out of control, big time, right? And before I even get started, I see how they play these games, right? They're looking into things. So first, before I even get started, let's say Fair Use Act, right? Under Section 107 of the Copyright Law, right? So we do not claim ownership of YouTube or any of that stuff that you would try to penalize us with, but we will say Fair Use Act because the information that we are giving out basically is under Section 107 of the Copyright Law Act, right? Shalom, Princess Benaniyah, right? So this week, man, first off, I pray everybody had a great feast of memorial blowing the trumpets, man. I mean, it was a great time. The children enjoyed it. Everybody enjoyed it. We had the trumpets blowing, right? Had a great time. Brought in that new moon, right? As we're going into the second half of the year, the beginning of this scenario has already started to show you that the Most High is moving, man, whether you're ready or not. So we got to get ready. Everybody get these likes up, get these shares up. We want to move around the preventative measures that they try to place in front of the teaching of the word of the Most High by our congregations, man. They always try to come with some type of method of trying to penalize or trying to minimize what's actually going out, man. So what we're going to do is, number one, I'm not sure, Shalom, Abraham, right? We're going into this week, some of the crazy things that's happened with the ILA, right? That's the reason why I had to do that Fair Act use in the beginning, because you never know how they feel about using these names and these words and things of that nature. But we have to get our people informed because guess what? They working us like a dog. They dang sure working us like a dog, man. So a lot of times people don't have time to sit down in front of the of a news report or an article to read to see what's going on, what's being said, and actually what's being brought about. But this is prophecy, right? This is prophecy that is actually happening, right? We're going to be going into, it's pretty much pointing out some of the things that have been going on this week. I'm not sure if y'all are aware of what's been going on with the ILA, which is the International Longshoremen Association, right? The president, Harold Daggett, that Edomite, Most High put the spirit of pride all over him, right? But we know that Esau is very prideful, and he doesn't care what he does to actually, I say, complicate things worse, right? Most High put his brain on autopilot. He's just going to do what he's actually created to do. We got 13 people in. Let's get that 13 likes up. Like I said, let's move this around, because our brothers and sisters that may not know what's going on, or let's say congregations have not spoke or touched on this yet. Basically, we want to make sure that they're able to see that, thus say the Lord, right? So, Daggett's been pretty upset in regards to getting things to work the way that he wants it to work. He wanted them to have an 80% raise in regards to working on the ports, right? He wanted an 80% raise. So if they're getting an 80% raise, how much is he getting? Because he'll say he's doing it for the union, but as we know, every treaty that Esau has gone into, he's broken each and every one of them. There's not one treaty that exists on this planet that Esau has not broken, manipulated, or created an arbitrary breach of contract, right? That's just who he is, right? So this week's class is going to be called 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes, war, right? Because we saw what happened first before the actual strike started even setting off, right? You had them over there in what they call the Middle East. They threw 200 missiles across that line at Israel, right? And went ahead and jumped things off. Now, news this morning, they're over there bombing out Beirut, Damascus, all of these areas. All of this is biblical prophecy, right? So all of these things are being brought out, but here in the United States, guess what's going on? They got this port strike. Now they said it's allegedly paused out until January 15th, how convenient, after the election probably, right? So we got to really look at what they're doing in our face and actually look at the scriptures to say, hey, you know what? We see how the Most High is working. He's moving this around. They have no control over what they're doing. So they're going to do it how they want to do it, right? I'm going to go into Ezekiel 27, right? Ezekiel 27 is going to be where I'm going to start out at. Ezekiel 27 and verse 3. And say unto Tyrus, and we know who Tyrus is, right? That's Esau. That's the prince of Tyrus that we learn about again in chapter 28. So again, we see that the Most High has to speak directly to Tyrus, because Esau's going to try and control and manipulate things the best way he can. And say unto Tyrus, O that are situate at the entry of the sea, right? So with this whole ILA, right, Esau is situated at the entry of the sea. What does that mean? He's a lot of these ports and exports and trading routes and things of that nature. Over the time, they've manipulated. They basically gave money under the table to let things go through. They've changed tariffs and put all types of restrictions on other countries in regards to how they move their things around. So things are extremely expensive in their states, right? When they do things like when they shoot off a missile or test some kind of military weapon, oh yeah, we're going to put a tariff on the exports and imports. Well, the Lord's like, well, guess what? Maybe you should get a little bit of that. Since that's what you're doing, you're going to get a little bit as well, because they're situated in the actual entry of the sea, right? And it says, which art a merchant of the people for many isles. America has a lot of exports that they send out, a lot of them, because guess what? We import a lot of things as well, but they don't talk about it. A lot of things get imported, get repackaged, and then get put made in America on there, just to give the people a feeling of that they're buying directly American. A lot of things are getting made in the prisons, right? That's the reason why they would prefer to have a lot of our people making things, not just license plates and things for Walmart. There's a lot of things being made in the prisons. They've done documentaries on these. They've done a lot of showing you what they're doing and how they make American-made products for like 13 cents an hour, right? They're not hiding it from you, right? They're putting it right in your face. A lot of us just don't have time. When you've been binge watching your little shows, your little sitcoms, or you're watching TikTok for the third hour in a row. It's not going to show you a lot of this information because it's going to get flagged and pulled down, right? Not sure if the chat is still going. The last message I seen was from Soldier Abraham saying shalom to the brothers and sisters. We do know they love to freeze our chat in regards to sometimes try to slow down us engaging with the actual people, right? That's just a tactic that Esau likes to use, and that's cool. Now, if I'm buffering or freezing, put a 1 in the chat. If I'm buffering, it's okay, so that it shows that it's not frozen. Okay. If I'm buffering or freezing, Adiva, let me know. All right, cool. I'm just making sure because you know how they like when you get in on that information that's informative to Israel, then all praise to the Most High. When you start getting in, a lot of times they don't like that. So you gotta utilize their strategies against them to, thus say the Lord, to make things go, right? So again, we have to look at it. Our country is the actual merchant for many other countries, even though they say they don't like them, or we going to war, or this, that. As much beef as we have with Moab, right? And you know who Moab is, right? As much beef as we have with them, that's not going to stop them PlayStation 5s coming in. That's not going to stop them Jordans coming in, right? Them Yeezys coming in, right? Because when you look on the tags of these clothes, you'll see that a lot of this stuff is made outside the country, right? Vietnam, right? A lot of stuff is made in China because they have to outsource. They have other things they want to go, right? So we got to look at the merchant from many aisles and understand, hey, they got their hands in a lot of stuff, right? And it says, thus say the Lord God, O Tyrus, thou hast said, I am of perfect beauty, because they feel that their structure that they have set up is created perfectly, right? It's created perfectly. Because we really have to look at how these things is, right? I take some of the actual quotes that Harold Daggett stated this week when he was interviewed. And I want to say that the interview probably had to be like a week or two ago. So it's now just coming out because you know how they like to hold things back. He said out his mouth, Harold Daggett's the president for the International Longshoremen Association. Because as it says right here, I am O Tyrus, thou hast said, I am a perfect beauty. So they think they have everything working perfectly, right? Let's go to verse 4. Thy borders are in the midst of the seas. Thy builders have perfected thy beauty. So when you have a lot of those offshore oil rigs, right? A lot of these actual seaports that they have with helicopters landing because of the amount of fuel they meet. One helicopter picks it up, the other one picks it up. They have a boat out there like a port in the middle of nowhere. They have these big container ships that are sailing. They're not going to show you the route. They're not going to show you where it's going to, where it's leaving off at. But you think Esau hasn't created garrisons in every country for a reason, military installments. So that way he can make sure if he needs to stop here, you got military to protect that cargo, right? So they can go on somewhere else. They're going to make sure that they get what they want coming to them and what they want going out to make their little industries work, right? So again, it says, the borders are in the midst of the seas, right? Thy builders have perfected thy beauty. So when you think about it, when you used to go on if you ever gone on a cruise ship, right? They'll say you can gamble all you want in international water. Once you get past a certain point in the water, they already have that marked off. Okay, now everybody can drink how they want to drink. Everybody can gamble how they want to gamble because we're not in the jurisdiction of that country anymore, right? Verse 5, they have made their shipboards of fair trees of Shinar. They have taken cedars of Lebanon to make masts for thee, right? So they've taken some of the best materials to make sure that these cargo ships and containers are able to uphold and actually go through these scenarios, right? And actually be able to get through, because that's exactly what they're actually hoping, right? When you get down to verse 6, it says the oaks of Bashan, they have made thine oars, right? The company of the Asherites have made the benches of ivory brought out of the Isles of Chittim, right? So we look at where these places are, right? Bashan is like Western Syria, right? Which is the Golan Heights. As you can see right now, there's a lot of war going on over there in regards to those areas, because it's getting to that point. It's getting to that point now where they don't care how many missiles they shoot at one another, right? You gotta really tie this in and say, okay, what are we dealing with here? Because the Bible's already drawn out the game plan, right? Harold Daggett was like, while everyone worked from home during the pandemic, right? He says we didn't. We had to work through everybody being infected by it. We had to work people being sick, people passing away from it, all of that. He's saying that they want to be he says, I want to be compensated for that. They know what I want. He said it like 2-3 times. They know what I want. They know what I want. They know what I want. So he's basically, that spirit of pride is on Harold Daggett, right? Edomite is proud. He's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. He's talking very proud in regards to just having control. He doesn't care. He's like, I only care about my union members. So the population of the planet, right? They're always saying, what about the sick children? What about the women? What about the elderly? He don't care about none of that. As long as he can get his raise and get raises for the people that he care about, because I'm very sure he doesn't care about every member of the union, but when they pay them union fees and he's able to capitalize off of that situation, because they do, that's when he cares about it, right? That's how he cares about it, right? He goes, when my men hit the street from Maine to Texas, every single port will be locked down, right? He was proud when he said that, right? He was proud about that. Most High put that spirit on him of pride, right? He said the first week, it'll be all over the news, which, as y'all seen this week, what was it? It was all over the news, right? It says the second week, guys who sell cars won't be able to sell cars because they'll be coming off of the ships. They'll all get laid off. He said that without a care in the world. So people out here in these industries that rely on things coming off the ship, he didn't care that, guess what? Those people were going to be put into an inconvenience, because he's like, look, we want us an 80% raise. How many of us can actually go on a job and ask for an 80% raise, right? None of us can. But this is how these Edomites operate. All right, let's get back. Ezekiel chapter 27, verse 8, right? It says, the inhabitants, the inhabitants of Zidon and Arvad were the mariners, right? So let's see who that is in the scripture, because a lot of times we don't know who it is. But guess what? We're going to find out today. So I don't know if you ever heard of the name Poseidon, right? That they utilize the Greek god of water, or dealing with water of wars, things of that nature. Poseidon, right? Which is catching a fish or fishery, right? This is a place found in Palestine, right? That's where the inhabitants of Zidon. And Arvad, right? Arvad is a refuge for roving, right? That's what it is. The what's the name? The who? Oh, the Asherites. I'll have to go back and actually look, because I wasn't going to read verse 6, but I just read down anyway in regards to it. But that's a good question. I'll try and get that for you before the end of class is out, right? But Arvad is means refuge of roving, right? Because you know how they love to tell us we can't loiter in front of the store, but that don't mean they ain't going to loiter out there, right? They got Coast Guards, they got drones, they got all types of different little detectors and things of that nature, right? They have a whole bunch of that stuff out there. So if you in a situation like when the Cubans or the Haitians were trying to get out of situations that our country caused in their country, and they're trying to get out of there and come over here to get refuge, they got the Coast Guard out there waiting. They have some kind of detector out there saying, hey, where you guys going, right? So that refuge of roving, that's where Arvad was. And it's the island city of Palestine, right? So there's a lot of island cities here and things of that nature that they actually have going. Verse 9, the ancients of Gebal, right? Oh, wait, let me finish this. Inhabitants of Zidon and Arvad were mariners, thy wise men, because those areas was actually probably giving counsel, right, in regards to what Tyrus, which was Esau, that were in thee, that were thy pilots. So they had them out there doing the work for them, because as we know, Esau don't really like to do work. He likes to sit around and try and control and manipulate everything, so that way he can take the credit for it, right? You look up a book called 100 Black Inventions, things that we try to have copyrighted as a people. No matter if you was Native American, no matter if you was indigenous Latino, no matter if you was so-called Negro, right? They utilize those things for medical use, right? Stoplights, syringe tips, right? Television, things that was made by our people that moved this country move forward. They're not going to give you credit for that. You're not going to hear about any of these inventions during Black History Month. They're going to say Dr. Carver had the peanut, right? You talk about Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, people that did those things. But let's talk about the inventions that made the world go around. They don't talk about that. So I would suggest if you get an opportunity to get a PDF for 100 Black inventions, let's look at what was made by Israel that they stole and they utilize now and act like we had nothing to do with it. We were just picking cotton, right? And it says, verse 9, the ancients of Jerubbaal, right, and the wise men thereof were in thee, thy caulkers, right? Those people that actually were repairing the ships and putting on repairs. So let's look and see what was in regards to that. That's what they were actually doing out there, right? All the ships of the sea with their mariners were in thee to occupy thy merchandise, right? Let's jump down to verse 12, right? Because what they're doing is they're showing right here, right, that Esau's little plan, little scheme that he has going to manipulate, because again, we export a lot, we import a lot, right? But we're in the middle of everything. You see what I'm saying? That's how we're able to put tariffs and penalties and all types of interest on other people's exports and imports, because we're manipulating something over here. We got a little bit of something on the back end for this country. Oh, y'all weak, huh? Yeah, we got them switches to put on the back of your little things we sold you last time. We got them banana clips for you. Yeah, we got that laser targeted scenario that can come out and boom, get that over with, right? They have a lot of that going on. We're trading a lot of that military installment scenarios to actually get certain things brought in that we don't produce over here, right? Because what do we really produce outside of guns, ammo, and alcohol, right? And wars and actually mutiny situations in other countries, right? Let's jump down to verse 12, right? Let's get into the meat of it. All right, so Tarshish was thy merchant by reason of the multitude of all kind of riches, right? Who is Tarshish, right? It's a place or a place on the Mediterranean Sea, right? A merchant vessel port. So Tarshish was an area, and what did it handle? It says all kinds of riches with silver, iron, tin, and lead traded in thy fairs. So they were trading on their behalf, just like you have day traders and things of that nature going on right now. That's what they were actually doing. So they made up a confederation of heathen nations and places to actually manipulate things back then. They're still doing it to this day. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Let's go down to verse 13. Javan, Tubal, Meshech, they were thy merchants. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market, right? When they traded the persons of men, let's see who they were, right? Javan is a place in Arabia, right? Tubal was modern Turkey or Tobolsk, right? Meshech is Moscow in Russia. That's Meshech is how you would actually say Moscow in the ancient tongue of how they were speaking, right? And it's pretty much the people dwelling, right? That area in Moscow in Russia, people dwelling on the Black Sea along the Caucasus Mountains. So we see that he was doing business with his Edomite counterparts out there, right? Caucasus Mountain. We know that's where a lot of them dwell, right? And we got to really look at who these people are, because they're doing it now, because it says they traded the persons of men. How do you trade the persons of men? Well, Arabia, what you think they wasn't selling us? Sub-Sahara, right? That Sub-Saharan slave trade. A place, Javan, a place in Arabia. It was trading, again, what the scriptures say. We got to look at it for what it really is. Traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market. That's what they were doing over there, right? Let's keep going. Verse 14. They of the house of Tagmarah, right, traded in thy fairs with horses and horsemen and mules. So it's like the auto industry, right? Think about it. You got horses, right, as equivalent to a vehicle, right, back then. Think about that. Horsemen, people who were trained or knew how to handle these particular horses, and mules. Mules were something that they utilized to actually do digging, agriculture, bringing things short-term and long-term distance, right? They utilize a mule to actually do so. Now, Tagarmah, right, is in modern Armenia, right, and Turkey, right? Turkey's the only nation in the world that has land on two continents, which is Europe and Asia, right? So they're able to, that's why you see Turkey is involved in a lot of stuff, because they're bigger than what's let off in regards to how things are done. Shalom, Aqua Deborah, right? As well as Aktab, right? Brother Lamar, right? So we're here going through what they're doing. So Tagmarah traded in, right, again, Armenia. So you see a lot of those Armenians, they do like a lot of horse races, horsemen and mules, right? Verse 15, the men of Dedan were thy merchants, right? The Most High has a whole docket, right? These scenarios, because it says Turkey is only land on two continents. Russia has actually they've actually taken over a lot of places through war. So they've expanded their landmass. I'm not sure if you guys know what's going on between India and China. China's tiptoeing parts in making garrisons. They're trying to do what we do, and they're trying to push their way into India. India's not really liking that. And India is a nuclear superpower as well. So as you can see, all these things have been happening within the last week to 2 weeks, and it's been ramped up even more. But what are they giving us over here? They're giving us Diddy news, right? They're giving us who's going to be at the Super Bowl, right? They're giving us all types of, look at our election situations. Let's get the talking points. But what we're not looking at is what they're selling, what they're putting on the line, right? Because at the end of the day, it's going to affect us back home when we least expect it, right? Verse 15, it says, the men of Dedan were thy merchants. Many isles were the merchandise of thy hand. They brought thee for a present horns of ivory and ebony, right? And let's look at who they were in Dedan. Dedan was modern, Al-Ul, if I'm saying that right. Yeah, Al-Ul, yeah, that's how you say it. Oasis, which is northwest Saudi Arabia, right? Northwest Saudi Arabia, now known as Al-Qurayba, right? That's where Dedan is, right? That's the modern day Northwest Saudi Arabia. What did they bring to the party, right? He says, the men of Dedan were thy merchants, right? With many isles were the merchandise of thy hand. They brought thee for present horns of ivory and ebony, right? These are very expensive pieces that were brought over to them, right? They utilize other countries, say, well, you trade me a little bit of this, I might not invade you, or we may not just pull up on you, because a lot of these we bullied, right? And also that the Dan is a hub of culture and commerce, right? And a strategic trade link between ancient South Arabia and other regions. That's what the Dan was. So that's why when you see the scripture, it says they were, the men of the Dan were thy merchants, many isles of the merchandise of thy hands. Many isles. That's where you look at that trade link between ancient South Arabia and other regions, because they were able to utilize other isles and other trading posts because they probably had better relationships with some of the people in those actual areas, right? And it says they brought for a present horns of ivory and ebony, right? That's crazy. So again, they had a hub. So when we think back on what it said in the beginning, right? What it said in the beginning, when you look at verse, what was it? Verse 4, right? When we jump back to verse 4, it says, thy borders are in the midst of the seas. Thy builders have perfected thy beauty, because they made the ships look really nice, right? When you jump into verse 3, it says, saying to Tyrus, O thou art situate at the entry of the sea, which art a merchant of people of many isles, right? This is the many isles that they're referring to, because they have different hubs and different areas where they're able to create commerce with countries they would never probably either do business with because it's too far to travel, or getting people involved. Shalom, Sister Genesis, right? Good to see you. Let's jump down to verse 16, right? Syria was thy merchant by reason of the multitude of the wares of thy making, right? It says the occupy in thy fairs with emeralds, purple, broidered work, and fine linen, Slakia, and coral, and agate, right? These things were brought in by Syria. As you can see now, Syria is in the midst of those battlefields right now, right? They over there getting toe loose over there, Damascus and all of those things. And you know what the scripture said? Damascus would be a ruinous heap, right? It would be destroyed, of course, because they understand. That's why when you see these wars and the names that I'm naming, all of these people are involved in them, because it's like, I don't know if you guys remember the game of Risk back in the day, or now they have the games on the phone where you can pretty much the conquest of the countries and things of that nature. That's what Alexander the Great and all these other Edomites were trying to do. They were trying to take over the world by the trade routes and things of that nature. That's why Christopher Columbus had to take the route that he took, because guess what? You don't want to be in somebody else's lane and they catch you out down that water, because it's going to be on and popping. They go, hey, it's going to be on and popping. They're not playing about you being in their trade routes, especially if you're not supposed to be there. They're looking at your mask, they're looking at your flag like, hey, wait a minute, they're not supposed to be over here. No different than nowadays when you see one of those ships that's not supposed to be in U.S. territory, right? These are the borders in the water that they're talking about, right? This is where the borders are, in the midst of the seas, right? So we got to really look at how they're actually trying to play it out. Syria is bordered by the Mediterranean Sea to its west. So look how important this land is. This is why they're trying to take it over, right? Syria is bordered by the Mediterranean Sea to its west, Turkey to the north, Iraq to the east, Jordan, Lebanon, and Israel to the south, right? And Damascus is pretty much the capital and the largest city in Syria. So as you can see, that's like a complete war zone right now. They're over there tearing things loose in regards to that, right? Let's keep going. Verse 17, verse 16 told you what it was over there, what they were giving. It says, thy occupied in thy fairs with emeralds, right? A very exquisite gem, right? Purple, we already know how purple was used for a lot of royalty. A lot of rich people were actually using purple, right? embroidered works, right? So a lot of work done by the hand that's actually manufactured, that wasn't something that other countries were producing, but they were willing to pay for. It's like it. And fine linen, right? More clothing, more things for, for your bed. You think they didn't have silk sheets back then? Silk curtains, they had all that. They wanted that fine linen, right? To make garments and to make other things of beauty for them. And regardless, because these heathens were living deliciously, right? And it says in coral as well as agate, right? Or agate, Slakia. But you know how they use coral to make necklaces and jewelry, things of that nature, right? Verse 17, it says, Judah and the land of Israel, they were thy merchants. They traded in thy market wheat of Manith. And where let's see what Manith is. Manith is modern Georgia. Slakia. Modern Jordan. Yeah? Yavadan, right? That's how you say that in the Paleo. Yavadan. Manith, that's modern day Jordan, right? And it says they traded in thy market with wheat of Manith, which is Jordan, and panag, and honey, and oil, and balm, right? We can see how honey is important now because it's utilized in a lot of medicinal ways, right? Oil is used for cooking and other things, right? You need oil to make certain machinery move around. You think they didn't have the understanding of that back then? Now, it wasn't like engine oil or nothing like that, but you have to grease and oil up things that need to turn, right? As well as things for war. And balm. Balm is something that can be utilized and medicated, right? You want to put that on like an ointment or things to be made out of it. There's a lot of uses for balm. But let's look at what the panag is, right? Most people read that, well, what is panag, right? It's actually a sorghum, a flowering plant in the grass family, right? And it says it's grown for its grain, which is used for food as well as animal feed, right? So that's why those things were important to be sold with the wheat, because they want to be able to grow their food. They want to be able to make sure that their animals and their livestock that actually do the hard labor is able to actually do it, right? Because, hey, if you don't have that going on, guess what? You're going to run into that problem, right? Now, let's jump down to verse 18, right? Damascus, which is in Syria, right, was thy merchant in the multitude of the wares of thy making, right? So, as you could read earlier, look at where they bordered out at, right? They were on the Mediterranean Sea, right? That's to its west. So they got ports coming in and out, right? Shalom, 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 King James of Judah, right? So they're on the Mediterranean Sea. So that gave them a way to deal with Tarshish, right? Which is in the Mediterranean area. It was a merchant vessel port. So they had an option to have that merchant vessel port, right? And then Turkey to the north, right? So they were able to deal with everything out of Moscow or Russia and dwelling on the Black Sea all the way to the Caucasus Mountain. So they had an industry right there, right? And then you got Iraq to the east, right? And we already seen Dedan was the hub for the culture and the commerce and the strategic trade link between ancient Southern Arabia and other regions, right? And then you had Jordan, right, which we just read about, which was in Maneh, right? Lebanon and Israel, which we just read, because that's where they were getting that panag sorghum, which was that flowering plant agent, right? That's where they were getting that. So you don't think, oh, I'm glad that you, what time is it? It's 12:30. Lord, Yahweh Hashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, I thank you, Lord, for doing every week between 12 and 12:30, usually between 12:15 and 12:30 Central Time, there will be somebody that comes into this classroom, this virtual classroom, and make the same comment that the rise of the chosen ministry will make, right? You come in And you don't say shalom to your brothers and sisters if you're an Israelite. That's number one. You come in with the spirit of pride and actually coming in just creating confusion in the chat. You think I don't understand that you can't shave your face or anything? You don't, that's sad, bro. So if my beard is gone, where's my eyebrows? Let's wait for it. Where's my eyebrows? My eyebrows, my beard, all my facial hair, all my follicles is with the Lord. I have alopecia, brother or sister. So you shouldn't come in with the spirit of contention. That's not pleasing to the Lord, right? Thank you. Everybody knows this in the chat. We can tell that you don't come here quite often, Rise of the Chosen Ministry. It can be the same fall of the Chosen Ministry, right? That's not come in with being puffed up and prideful. As you can see, the Most High is dissecting congregations and he's splitting things up. He's shaking things up because he only wants those that are worthy of the kingdom, right? You've marked yourself creating division. Because what, you thought everybody's going to leave the chat because you posted that? So you don't think it's an actual contention to come in and say a bald head and face is against the commandments? You think we don't know that? You don't think we know that? My hair came out when I was 7 years old, right? It's being gone. I have alopecia. I'm forehead bald. As the law state is clean and acceptable to the Lord because it was his will that is done. Now, do I have little hairs that growing on the side? A little bit of that. All right. Says, do you always put that costume jewelry on for your lives? I tell you what, too bad it's not costume jewelry. That's the problem. You should worry about your salvation, the woodchuck, right? Because at the end of the day, you may not be making it into the kingdom as you expect, right? So it's sad and it's unfortunate, but guess what? We know, this is how I know it's 12:30, because my scoffer alarm goes off, right? This is how you know when you're getting good in the class. Here come the scoffers, right? Con, we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back. The woodchuck, what gate will you be going through in the kingdom, right? Of what tribe or nation of people do you descend from? And we'll leave it right there, right? Because I'm very sure you're a relative of Idumea, or you could be a Hamitic person, or you could be a Moabite or an Amorite. But let's get back to where we're at, right? So I was on verse 18, right? Verse 18. It says, Damascus was thy merchant in multitude of waters of making for multitude of all riches, in the wine of Helbon and white wool. So that area, right? That area was actually, Hebron is a city in the West Bank, right? As you can see right now, they blowing that to smithereens, right? They're blowing that to, who said anything about color? See, this is how you know an Edomite's in the chat. The first thing they're gonna say, God is a spirit, he has no color. Soldier Abraham, please help this Edomite out to know that the Most High God had a color, right? Please help him out in regards to it, because this is how ignorant people are who don't read the book or don't read. And the individual that came in talking about me breaking the commandments, it's a shame that they're not even man or woman enough to say salakia or apology, right? For trying to interrupt someone's lashu and bringing forth the word of the Most High that they claim that they respect. How can you be the chosen ministry, right? Or of the chosen ministry in regards to it? So, yeah, drop that. I think that's in Daniel. Drop that in Daniel. The color of the Most High that sat on the throne had the rainbows around him. What color? Because he was the color of a sardine stone, right? So I asked you, yes, I asked you, what was your tribe and your ancestors? Because it's 12 gates, right? It's 12 gates for the 12 tribes of Israel, right? What do you mean prove you wrong? You haven't given us anything, right? Con. Now go ahead and read that, the Chuck. Enjoy that, because we're going to get back to teaching our nation, because your people, right? Because I can guarantee you, God, I can guarantee you that the Chuck and a lot of these people that come in the scoff, we already know who they are. This is what they do on anybody's live. They have nothing else better to do. They're in mommy's basement. They're playing PlayStation. They're probably waiting for a game to download. And they say, well, let me get on YouTube. Let me see what I can do, right? I already proved that you're wrong. Read the scripture. The Most High has a color. Read it. So, I mean, again, you don't think he's the color of a sardine stone? Do you know what that color is? Gee whiz, and it's crazy. How do you mistake Paul for an Egyptian if he's not a melanated man? You're not going to think, oh, are you Saudi Arabian? No. You can look at him, they thought he was an Egyptian. That's the problem. You're 47 years old. Well, hey, guess what? Congratulations, right? Congratulations, Chuck. Are you a Caucasian? What ethnicity are you? Because it has nothing to do with color. Believe it or not, it has nothing to do with color. I'm asking your ethnicity. So please don't not show us your thank you, Calvin. Don't show us that you have a lack of understanding and comprehension, right? Again, we got all the scriptures. I got a scripture sniper in the chat. So whatever you want, him shall get, right? What is your ethnicity, the woodchuck? Because I guarantee your people are of Tyrus or Tyree, in the middle of trying to control all of this stuff. You came in with the Harold Daggett spirit on you. Very prideful, right? He came in with the, I want to be compensated for that, right? They know what I want. They know what I want. Just like Daggett said, right? He didn't care if people can't get their medicine. He didn't care if babies couldn't get their milk, right? These are the spirits that are put on these Edomites, right? Because when you think about it, he told his people to go strike, right? And I'm going to get right back to this now. He told his people to go strike, right? But he wants to try to make sure that the people in the union, because they got to pay union fees and union dues, right? They're supporting people on here, bearing false witness against me. Y'all judge me as a person. That's the sin. Again, answer the question. Because you got on here and you said, see, now you want to play the victim. This is how we know you're Esau, right? You say you're an Eskimo, right? What ethnicity are you? Are you Native American? What are you? You can't just say I'm an Eskimo, because you have Edomites that will say that they're Indians, right? You will say that. You over there clubbing out the shields, right? I only said something about your jewelry. But why are you coming on here being contentious in regards to what I actually have, right? I mean, what's the problem with it? It's not intelligent. We can't have gold. We can't buy real gold, right? That shows it. It says, I'm half Native American, half Canadian. What's your father's father? Right? Let's see what that is. Because your mother's ethnicity does not matter to the Most High. He doesn't. We can get the scriptures to pull it. Right? So, come on, the woodchuck. Let's type it. What's your daddy's daddy ethnicity? All right? Because that's what it comes through, the seed. The seed. And again, this is why I'm going through each and every one of these verses, right? Each one of these verses to show who these people are that's confederate against our nation and have us in a chokehold, and they'll blame it. Oh, it's on the inflation. It's the inflation. You've never met your father. So how do you know that you're Canadian Eskimo then? So you never met your grandfather. What did your mother tell you your daddy was? Because we get a lot of that. Y'all are put on us. Oh, you don't know who your dad is. Your dad didn't stick around. Whoopie whoopie woo. But again, we know our ethnicity because somebody in our family knew the man that our mothers were with. If they decided to up and leave, they passed away, they moved on to life. There's some kind of record we can find out who's who. Somebody knows something, right? So we can't just play the fact that we didn't meet. You can't tell me you never asked. Everyone's asked, right? Nobody's attacking you. Again, nobody's attacking you. We're just trying to ask you if you are Caucasian, yes or no. Don't give me I'm Eskimo Canadian, because that's just too, all you're giving me is you're giving me a landmass, right? And what's in it? Oh, well, that's cool. When the Most High decides to growing back, that's cool. You was adopted at 8 months old. Okay. All right. So if we're gonna do that, and you don't know who you are and what you are, where you came from, somebody had to. I mean, were you an orphan? Were you in an orphanage? Right? Senior. Yes, I know the scoffers are here, right? But anyway, let's get back to what we was talking about, right? The pride of Esau in regards to this, because this is where you get 1 strike, 2 strike, 3 strikes, and then now you got war going on around, right? So this Harold Daggett dude said he wanted 200,000 annually per man, right? Nobody's attacking you. Let's not be sensitive. Attacking means that they have to physically say something. We don't know enough about you. We're just saying that, hey, you're saying things that may not be provable or may not be true. We deal with a lot of people. Con, I know. That's exactly what it is. You know? Now he plays the victim. So you most likely is Idumean, because they love to do that. They love to come in, throw a rock, hide their hand, and then when you throw the rock back, then a hit dog will holler, right? They want 200K annually per man. How much will Mr. Daggett get in fees and taxes out of that? Because you got to pay it as a union worker, right? You got to pay that as a union worker, right? But the thing is they don't want these ports to be automated. All this autonomy is this and that. But what about the people that getting their pension and they're getting their jobs, right? That's what he's so concerned about in regards to it, right? But that machine, you could probably buy one machine for about 200,000 versus, let's say, 200 people getting 200,000 a year. You can buy one machine for 200,000. Right? He's not really thinking about that because, see, the Most High put that spirit of pride on Harold to bring that strike, right? That's going to help bring forth this automation on the back end, right? Because right now they're like, we're going to put a pause on the strike to January 15th. How convenient. Because they probably got a call and said, look, if you don't cut this out, we're going to cut you out. And you know that our country don't really play around when you start playing with their money and their infrastructure. They'll take anybody out of the game. JFK had an issue with the Federal Reserve, out of there. And all of this is what the information that they have put out through numerous documentaries, numerous reports. We ain't got this information because you remember, we too busy out here slaving for y'all, right? But it's not against the law for us to read anymore, educate ourselves in regards to it. So guess what? They had to get Bobby out of there, right? They had to get JFK out of there because he was going to mess with their money. So you think that he's not going to do that again, right? Exactly. Elon Musk, you think they're not going to let him make all the recipes for everything they need, and then they're going to do him just like the dude from Apple. They're going to do him like Q from WorldStar. Once you created the perfect recipe and we want to buy it from you, and you don't want to sell it, now you delete it purposely. You know what I'm saying? That's what actually happens, because if you don't know by now, we are in a place where they don't have a problem taking something from you, and they'll take it from you. Look at the Indians, chilling, enjoying themselves, right? Living in idolatry, but the Lord said he would actually bring a enemy swift as an eagle to deal with that, right? Nobody owes you an apology, the woodchuck. Did you apologize for insulting me? Because I don't wear costume jewelry, and this ain't a costume, right? That's the whole thing. You come in with an insult, and then you demand an actual apology for somebody bringing scriptures to you that you said that, hey, God doesn't have a color. You owe the Most High an apology, right? That's what you owe, an apology. You owe us an apology trying to play the victim, and then you want to turn into a vagabond on us, right? That wasn't a personal attack. Yes, it was, because you were talking about me personally, right? That's what you said. That's the whole problem. You assume what I'm wearing is costume jewelry. That's a personal attack on me as an individual. But guess what? This is what Esau does. This is the reason why. This is the perfect reason why this class, the Most I put this class on my spirit, right? Because look at it now, right? He says, I want to be compensated for that. You came in with an insult. You got the attention. We gave you the scripture already. Right? If you don't want to go back and read the scripture, then guess what? That's the problem, right? That's the problem. You don't want to go back and read the scripture. We posted the scripture in the chat. Then you tried to turn it into as a personal attack. You ignored the scripture showing you what was described as the Most High's pigmentation in the scripture, right? That's the problem right there. You don't want to read. Now you're playing the victim, right? So just like Harold Daggett said, the first week it'll be all over the news. So he came in the chat with the insults, right? Now he's trying to be all over the news with it, right? The second week it said guys who sell cars won't be able to sell cars because they won't be coming off the ship. They'll all get laid off. He's happy with that, right? Let's go back into the scriptures, right? Because we have to look at these areas and what these merchants that were all under the influence of Tyre, which is Esau, which are the Edomites, right? What they were actually getting drawn into. Because Hebron, again, was a city in the West Bank of Palestine, and it's the largest Palestine city. This is the reason why they're trying to blow it clean off the map. Because they know that these areas are strategic for not only military garrisons, but for trade routes, right? You went straight to it. I didn't ask you if you were white. There you go. That's the whole problem. Nobody asked you that. We know what Idumeans do. We don't have to ask you if you are. I asked you what your father's ethnicity was. See, again, let's stop trying to twist the woodchuck. Let's stop it, right? Verse 19, it says, Dan also and Javan, right? And we know who Javan is, that's Arabia. Going to and fro, occupy in thy fairs. Bright iron, right? Kasa or Acacia, Calamus were in thy market. So they were bringing in infrastructural things to actually be built, right? For construction, right? Yeah, I asked you that. I asked you if you're Caucasian. There's dark Caucasians. They get a tan, so they got spray tans, things of that nature. I'm asking because we know one of the only groups of people that come in here. We can name them all. Ammonites, right? Moabites, Edomites, Hamites, Elamites, Ishmaelites. I'm using all biblical nationality terms, right? So again, I asked you what you were. Because there's a lot of them that come on here and will say, yes, I'm a so-called white man. What does that mean for me, right? They're not coming on here getting extremely proud. They don't even come. They may say hi or this, that, and the other, or what gate would I go through, right? So I can keep, that's the problem. You can't keep your thoughts together. Again, you're showing us your traits, right? You're showing us your traits. The Most High doesn't make mistakes, and he's always on point with what he does. You have no control of your thoughts right now. You're just all over the place, right? We're talking about how your people have this world in a full Nelson when it comes to things, right? So when we see in verse 19, it showed bright iron, Kasa, Calamus was in their market. Verse 20, the Dan was thy merchant, and precious cloths for chariots. So the things that were actually going on the chariots, right? You said Masad or Mashad? I don't. Is that what you're trying to say? Spell it. If you can spell it right, I just want to make sure so I don't guess that you're saying something that you're not. The Dedan is to Saudi Arabia, right? They had the precious cloths for thy merchants, right? I mean, for the chariots, they were a merchant of that, right? Verse 21, right? It says Arabia and all the princes of Kedar. And where's Kedar? That's eastern Syria, right? They occupied with thee in lambs, right? So here we got meat, Mossad, right? I believe that's a Israeli military installment, no different from like the FBI or the CIA or something like that, all right? So let's see here. So, but they going out in the chat. I'm gonna let them have at it because I got to get a lot of this out in regards to it. So we see 21. They was bringing in. So that's the people of Eastern Syria. This is why they fight so much, right? Reading the Bible. We're in Ezekiel 27 and we're on verse 21 right now. So we're going through the actual merchants that are associated with the Edomites that were basically bringing goods and being controlled in these aquatic trade routes, right? God, that's all they're trying to do in regards to it, right? It says, again, they occupied thee with lambs and rams and goats. And these were thy merchants. So Eastern Syria was bringing in meats, right? They were bringing in goats. You got goat milk. Yeah, lambs for feast days, right? Yeah, rams. They use the horns of the ram to make shofar, right? So again, they have a lot of, no problem. They have a lot. Let's see here. Yeah, the reason why Allah doesn't see color because he don't exist. That's why. I mean, we can put it as plain as you want it, right? So again, he doesn't exist. And your Prophet Muhammad was a Caucasian. How you feel about that? I mean, he was. So he controlled y'all with manipulation because, again, Islam was created by the Roman Catholics to actually keep y'all docile and to keep y'all serving something that, long as y'all wasn't getting down with the Israelites and actually joining up with them and listening to the doctrine of the Most High, right? That's cool. But Muhammad was out here hoarding preschools, right? Let's call it that. He said he didn't mind. He said, hey, at his stage, he didn't matter the age, right? That's what Muhammad was doing. And y'all have a book, the Quran is a book of non-prophecy. Because if that was the case, y'all would have known that y'all countries were going to get infiltrated, bombed, right? You're going to have a lot of splinter cell groups that were going to sell y'all out to one another. Y'all have no military unity in regards to y'all just all over the place, right? Y'all just all over the place. How do you think they calculated blowing up all y'all cell phones and pagers and stuff the last week? You think somebody didn't tell them about that? Then they took your main boy out, buddy that be wearing the glasses, Hezbollah leader, they took him out. In regards to where was your Allah then? If y'all over there doing the best thing and y'all have such a powerful a powerful nation and mighty. Y'all put on ski masks. It's 106 over there. Y'all all got on the same ski mask, right? Y'all got them same choppers from the Cold War, right? Y'all got all of that stuff going on. And all they got to do is just bring a drone with a tactical weapon, and now all of that stuff is gone. So what is that doing? What is Allah doing for y'all over there? Talking about Allah don't see color. Yeah, he don't see color, right? He don't see color because he don't exist, right? Exactly. That's exactly. Islam didn't show up until 700 years after Christ ascended back into heaven, when they gave that to those who were either going to be converts or were actually having itching ears to the actual prophets of the Most High that was teaching the word. And they was like, hey, that sounds good. Roman Catholics said, oh no, we can't have that. Let's give them something. And they gave y'all the same way they tried to give us Caesar Borgia, they gave y'all Muhammad. Think about it. That's what y'all say, right? Because let's see how much of a prophet he is when he returns with that sword. That's the funny thing. What is Muhammad doing? Where's Muhammad at? Right? Yeah, battery. Yep, exactly. It's a hardwired actual smoke detector. That's the thing. We got smoke detectors every room. Everything's fine. That thing's been beeping probably a month after we moved in. We not worried about it. You shouldn't worry about it either, right? Because if you're distracted by that little beep, right, then at the end of the day, that shows why you're actually here. They worship a stone. Yep, they had us worshiping wood, and now they had our people institutionalized, coming home selling bean pies on the corner with papers, right? Hey, come join the Nation of Islam. But when you go over there, right, they go on a hadith, right? They go over there, they're not gonna let you kiss the stone. They're not gonna even let you touch it, right? Think about it. Y'all seen Malcolm X? He went over there, came home and said, "Wait a minute, something wrong about this." Came home and they excommunicated him, right? Nah, the word Allah means power in Paleo Hebrew. It's just another thing that you guys have gone ahead and tried to plagiarize, right? So we have to look at things for what it is. We were followers of Christ. We were followers of the Most High. They called us followers of Christ because Christ taught the law. So let's really look at what it is, right? That's why they called us followers of Christ. That's why the Greeks came up with that, calling us Christos, right? They started calling us Christians because we were under the teaching and tutelage and following what the Most High said do, right? That's what we actually were doing. That's the reason why they came up with that. Before that, we were called Israelites, right? Hey, I feel bad for you because guess what? At the end of the day, the Most High is going to destroy your little stone that's not helping you, right? All of your little quickie marts in little halal stores are going to be out of there soon. That's what you have to really look at. I'm following the wrong thing. It was given to you guys by the Roman Catholics. Why can't you deal with that? The Quran was written by the Roman Catholics, right? The 1611 Bible, which was translated under King James, which was a melanated man of color, which you would probably call a Negro, right? He was the one that actually had those things translated under the actual authority of the Most High. Where's your authority coming from, right? Exactly. Y'all, exactly. And you know what? Y'all believe in it enough to blow yourselves up because you think that you're going to get 74 virgin gentlemen when you get up to wherever you're supposed to be going. It's funny, y'all believe in heaven, but there's no gate for y'all. There's only 12 gates for the 12 tribes of Israel with 12 angels. Where y'all supposed to go after? Y'all go boom. That's what you have to ask yourself. Where are you going after the boom? Right? Because you got to think about how the Most High is like, I'm going to ramp this war up. People wasn't watching the news when the Most High had those pagers and phones blow up. That was strategic, right? That was strategic. A lot of people didn't make it out of there. The next thing you know, there was an actual targeted missile attack on y'all so-called leaders over there of doing what y'all was supposed to do, right? You can't kill innocent people. Are you really innocent? What nation of people have not had their hands in the destruction of the Israelites? You don't think the Most High is going to have vengeance and revenge? You haven't read your Quran enough to know what's going to actually happen, right? That's the whole thing. And I bid you a farewell, right? Not a good day. Let's get back to the scripture, because I'm here at the bottom part of what I wanted to get to in regards to these breakdowns. We're going into 22. Ezekiel 27 and 22. The merchants of Sheba and Ramah were thy merchants. They occupied in the fairs with chief of all spices and with precious stones and gold, right? Sheba was located around Marib and Sirwa, which is Yemen. Now, when you look at Yemen now, what are they known for? They just known for being targeted as being some type of terrorist scenario, like a hub for the terrorists and the water pirates, things of that nature, right? That's what's going on in Yemen, right? Ramah was north of Jerusalem, right? That's what they were. Now, I'm going to get a precept that goes with 22, right? Jump over to Revelations. Hold your precept there, because we just brought out a lot of different areas in regards to those who are going to be involved in this war that's getting ready to go down. All of these coastal areas, right? All of these areas that are actually coming in, right? God, right? So again, that's how they're doing it. We're going over to Revelations 18 and 12, right? And it reads, it says, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls, fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood, right? And all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of the most precious wood and of brass and of iron and of marble, right? That's what was actually coming out of these areas. Also cinnamon and different odors like perfumes and things of that nature, ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour, wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. So everything I just went through in Ezekiel 27, 12 through 22 is showing the morning of Babylon, right? Which we're in right now. Modern day Sodom, right? Spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, as well as Babylon, right? Because you got to think about it. These heathen nations have lived beyond deliciously, right? These princes in Saudi Arabia, 14 karat gold toilets, things of that nature. All of these different companies, Levi, right? They should never change their logo. Oh yeah, they did. They changed their logo from the horse ripping apart a man to his ripping apart the jeans. Timberland, we know what that's about. The tree, right? We know what that's about. So we know that y'all use y'all symbols and y'all throw it right in our face. You think the Most High has not kept a actual log of all the stuff that y'all have done? So think about it. Harold Daggett, right? The president of the International Longshoremen Association, he said all those people are going to get laid off because of the cars, right? And the government, they can shut down the union anytime they want. Think about these other countries. All of a sudden, the president gets excommunicado. Now he's no longer. Now they put in a proxy, right? Because they can go ahead and get Daggett out of there by just saying, oh, he had a heart attack in his sleep, right? This happened to him. He got injured on a fishing trip. He did this. He excommunicated himself. They put anything they want in the media, and guess what? They're going to put it out there for a day or two. They're going to run that story. Then they're going to say, oh, yeah, Puff Daddy had this guy involved. Oh, look what Donald Trump said. Oh, Kamala Harris did this. Oh, Joe Biden done fell again. They're going to put something out there that's going to keep distracting. That was Revelations 18 and 12, right? And that precepts with the entire Ezekiel chapter 27, Salakia, 12 to 22 precepts with Revelations 18, 12 through 13. You can go up a little bit more if you want more clarity into that as well. And that's a definitely good read of seeing all of these different countries that had their hands in the slave trades for us, as well as areas that was going in and out, military installments, a way they could pop in, pop out on you. That's what they were utilizing this for, right? Because when you think about it, he doesn't want them to bring forth the automation, right? But if they tell him on the back end, bro, we can make you this rich. We can do this for you. We're going to give you percentages of each container, the things he's calling himself asking for. We're going to give you percentages on this. You're going to get commission on that. We're going to compensate you for this. We're paying you for your back days on that. And he's going to say, well, what about this person, that person? Hey, look, bro, we can probably help out 1/3 of the Edomites, but everybody else is screwed. But I'm going to give you this, and this is going to be the final deal. Because if you don't do this, you're not going to like how things go. And we're going to still bring in the automation, and you're not going to get anything. You don't think this Edomite's going to say, okay? He's not going to care about it because what kind of agreement or treaty or document has Esau ever kept? Ever. In the history of this country, what document or agreement has he kept? I can name one. He would never stop hating the Israelites. He's kept that with no problem, right? Gold change for paper. What is paper? You got to be a little bit more specific, you believe. Yes, the Bible is the word of God. We've opened the floodgates for the scoffers, y'all, so bear with me. Because again, he wants the fame and fortune. He gets out here and he does this. He says, I'm doing it for the guys. I'm not worried about what the president says, right? This is Harold Daggett saying it. Oh, if you're going to do this to me, that just means that I got to go back. And he said it out his mouth. This is how you know this stuff is scripted, man. This is how you know it's scripted. Go look up Harold Daggett, right? And you can Google it. Harold Daggett's interview with the International Longshoremen Association, right? And when you get towards the end, he's gonna say the president can sign something that will make them have to. It's gonna be like a tariff, right? And it's gonna make them go back to work for 90 days. Well, think about it. We're in the month of October, right? They said that we're gonna postpone this strike until January 15th, and that was yesterday, going into today. Think about it. So when he got on there talking that hot-ish, right, about what the president can't do and can do and what the government can't do, they said, okay, yeah, you got to go back to work for 90 days. He says, well, now think about it. When my guys go back to work, instead of making 30 movements, I'm going to have them just making 8 movements. So he's going to try to slow down the ports. So y'all thinking that them saying that the strike is over, that's going to be the end of this? No, sir. No, ma'am. It's not. This is how Esau plays these games, right? They're going to start blaming the raise of everything on the actual inflation, right? God, he's about to have an accident because he got out there. The Most High put that spirit of pride and haughtiness on him, right? So the people that say, well, look how Trump is this and that. No, look at how these Edomites that have authority are. They all are the same way. They're all the same way. No matter who you talk about, they're all under these heathen, all these top heathens in the world. They're all under the same spirit, right? He said the 3rd week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China, shoes, toys, electronics, games, clothing, appliances, right? And he said the cars ain't coming. Let's think back when they had the pandemic. All of this stuff happened, right? Sir, can you take off the fake chains? It's so funny. This is the spirit of these heathens upset that we have something that they don't have. They don't have. It's a varmint. Look at the varmint in there, right? We know what we do with varmints, but it's okay. Because at the end of the day, you can call it whatever you want. But if you meet me in person, we can go anywhere and test it to see the percentage of gold it is. That's the sad part. Why are you here worrying about this when you're not going to be able to feed your fat little face soon? You're not going to be able to have it, right? That's the whole thing. When you scoff, right? Guess what? The Most High is going to make it to where all these heathens and all of these people that decide to scoff in this chat today aren't going to be able to feed their family, ain't going to be able to medicate themselves, aren't going to be able to do anything. If y'all not paying attention, the Most High ain't playing. He took that hurricane, swung it up the west side of Florida, right? Then tore them all out the frame. Took that up through Georgia, went through North Carolina. Y'all can Google these things on AccuWeather. They show the videos, water all through the people's house, right? All through Esau's house. They're all flooded out. They can't go nowhere, right? But yet they come here and scoff about me wearing jewelry, right? When the Most High said he would put gold chains on us, put earrings in our ears, bracelets on our arms, right? So again, that's the whole problem right there. And see, he's a sodomite, Edomite. There's no one more profane than Esau, who sold his birthright for a morsel of meat, right? But it's okay, right? Because guess what? When you can't get any food, vermin, right? When you can't get any medicine to feed your little children, right? To feed your wife. Oh, not even your wife, your woman that's stuck with you, right? When grandma can't get what she needs. Remember this day, all the heathens, all of those who came to scoff this day, when the Most High brings the visitation of pestilence upon your house, when he brings those types of things to your doorstep, remember, you said it. I didn't say it. I was here doing the will of the Most High, feeding the sheep as he told me to do, feed his sheep. We're all the sheep of the Most High, right? That's the whole thing. Yeah. You keep on the scoffing. I guess you never heard the story of the 42 sheep heads, but don't worry. You will know it very soon when the vengeance of the Lord is upon you, right? So why would you describe something as divine when you can simply describe through science? Because the Most High told us about what these false sciences will do. He told you already, Jason. He told you about these false sciences. Again, you guys always worship science. Let me ask you a question, Jason. Why can't they save your dying family members when you think about it? They don't, because guess what? They've ran up their insurance in the hospital. They've done all of these different things and said, well, we can't get you the real medicine. We can get you the generic, right? That's what you have to ask yourself. Why are we in this? Yes, there are false prophets out there. They're called pastors. They're the one out there asking for 3 or 4 tithes. We're not asking for tithes, right? If you want to donate, we have methods for you to do so. People ask all the time, how can I contribute? We're not asking, right? That's the thing, all right? That stuff doesn't bother me at all. You can sit here and make you're being in the spirit of Alexander the Freak right now. You're showing us what you like to do, vermin, right? And it doesn't bother me. It doesn't interrupt the class because we've already gave the precept for all of these, right? So now we're on the back end. Let's look at verse 23, right? Because we really have to look at if Harold Daggett's willing to try to interrupt international trade. If we looked at verse in chapter 27 of Ezekiel, we looked at verse 3 and 4, right? And I'm going to read it again. It says, and say unto Tyrus, which is Edom, right? Which is the Edomites. It says, O thou art situate at the entry of the sea. Harold Daggett's situated at the century of how all of this is going, right? Right? So again, he's situated at that. It says, which are the merchant of the people for many isles. America exports a lot of different stuff, and we import a lot. So that's the reason why we're able to manipulate different countries and landmass. This is why there's a war, because it's like, hey, you're taking too much of that natural thing that we need from that country. Hey, you got too much gold coming in. Hey, you're taking so much wheat from them. We got to pay double. We don't like that. We going to war, right? But that's how they actually operate, right? It says, thus said the Lord, O God, O Tyrus, thou hast said, I am perfect beauty. Thy borders are in the midst of the seas. Thy builders have perfected thy beauty. So these people that manufacture all of these things that we got coming in and out of here, it's all over the place. So now where these countries, the Most High is putting that itchy trigger finger on all these countries. I never thought I was going to hear China is moving into India now. Now, if they can come to an agreement with India, India is an actual nuclear superpower. What does that mean? You see what I'm saying? So again, let me help you out. Let me help you out. I'm going to go ahead and sometimes you got to 86 them. Sometimes you got to 86 them. Now, there you go. How about that? Now you're part of that 86 community. We'll see you tomorrow, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow because we don't have time. Shalom, Benaniyah, right? Shalom, Benaniyah. Good to see you, sis, right? I just feel like it's easier way to a lot of people. They say it's divine, a higher power. Jason, do you believe in the Most High? Do you believe in the Bible? Do you believe in the Word of God, right? I want to ask you that question. I don't want to make it seem like I'm ignoring you, right? We're going to get Ezekiel 27 and 23 because we got to get these people and show why this is at the tip of the spear when it comes to this trading, right? You don't believe in the Bible. Okay, Jason. All right, so let me ask you this question. What ethnicity is your father's father? So at least we know of what nation of people you're from, right? It's okay, fine. You don't believe in the Bible, right? Some people don't until the Most High decides that, just like he did Zondervan. If you ever heard of the Zondervan family, right? They came out with this right here. The Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, right? Over 1 million copies sold. This Edomite family, right? Zondervan. Right, so, okay. You're Caucasian. So there is the reason that you don't believe in the Most High because you know deep down inside that he's only dealing with one group of people, and you don't think that that's fair to your group of people? Because if you think about it, right now we're talking about your people, right? That's Tyrus, that's Tyree. They're controlling everything. They got everything going right now. They're the movers and shakers. They got everything going. They're controlling the imports, the exports, the taxes, all of these things that's making a chokehold on people that have to work. Now, instead of you just having a 40-hour week, and you can feed your family on 40 hours a week, you could spend maybe 100, maybe 200 at the grocery store, and that be like 2 to 3 weeks worth of food. Not anymore. Not anymore, because guess what? A lot of the things we're getting imported and exported, guess what? Everyone wants a raise because of the inflation. What they're doing is they're cooking it from inside. That's exactly what they're doing, right? That's the reason why there's so much problems. Says the reason I don't believe is because claims have been made with no proof. Let's have some of those claims that have been made with no proof, right? Because this Bible is a Bible of prophecy. What I just read from Ezekiel 27 chapter, the 34th verse, and then 12, all the way down to 23, all of these places exist. So how is it not proof, right? Exactly. Because I'm gonna tell you something else that's real crazy, right? A lot of Edomites say they hate black people, right? They hate your black skin because the more south you go, the more north you go. You still get people that hate melanated people because they don't have any melanin, right? And I'm speaking outside of Jason. Go have a normal dialogue. It says the earth was created in 7 days. First paragraph. We know that's false. Well, can you give us a thesis statement that proves that the earth wasn't created in 7 days? Ask yourself the question, how are you able to see, right? How are you able to dream? How are you able to sleep without your body going into a cardiac arrest and you dying in your sleep? Because the Most High put a spirit in your body. He can wake you up or he can not wake you up. That's his choice, right? How do you explain Sodom and Gomorrah? that landmass is actually there. No, it was more creations after the earth was created. God, right? So we got to really look at this. Is how science is faulty, because a lot of science goes into a hypotenuse, right? Or hypothesis, which are just educated guess, right? That's all it is. But science can't save you. Think about Steve Jobs, right? He made the iPhone and all of this clever communicative stuff. And guess what? He can give you a retina scanner. He can give you a fingerprint unlocker. He can do all of this fancy smancy stuff, but you can't find a way to cure cancer. You can't even create an agreement. And I guarantee you what he did was they said, look, if you give us all of this stuff, Steve, we know you got cancer. We love you, bud. We want to keep you around. No, that wasn't what it was. He didn't have the cancer, and he stole that, right? He stole that from somebody else, right? So they probably promised him, if you give us this technology, we'll go ahead and give you the cure for whatever you got, if he had something. And guess what? They reneged on it, and he died. Or they just went ahead and just said, oh, yeah, cancer, he died. Who's going to go check it? Who's going into the morgue to do the test, right? They can tell us he died of anything. He's just here no longer. He could be on an island somewhere thinking that he's comfortable. And they just say, I don't want to be responsible for what's going to happen, right? So we really got to look at how we're dealing with this Prince of Tyrus, right? Because he's done a lot of manipulation over the years, and now we're starting to realize, hey, wait a minute, he wasn't by himself. Verse 23 tells us, Haran, right? Ezekiel 27:23, Haran, Canaan, and Edom, the merchants of Sheba, Ashur, Chilmad, were thy merchants, right? Now, brother, soldier Abraham, you asked me earlier, and I thought I didn't have it written down. In verse 6, and it said, the company of the Asherites made thy benches of ivory. And I said, I would get that for you. All praise to the Most High. I already had it. I just forgot that I even wrote that up, right? So Haran is southeastern Turkey, right? The village of San Lufra, right? Currently known as Upper Mesopotamia, right? That's where it was, right? Canaan, right? Canneh, that's Assyria, right? Eden is Mesopotamia. Ashur, so you was asking about the Asherites earlier, soldier Abraham. Asherites were Assyria, right? And Chilmad was Assyrian as well, right? All of them make up the actual land masses of Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Syria, and Turkey. That's what they make up, right? The real issue is when you teach people to believe in ideology, truth no longer matters, right? So let me ask you a question. So you're atheist is what you're saying, Jason, right? Because if you're atheist, then it's kind of hard for you to believe in science, because you guys have to utilize the Bible to create understanding of the things that you guys can say in nature, as well as the insect world, as well as animals, things of that nature, right? So you have to really think about like how believing in science over the Most High, it doesn't make any sense. Because right now, I just went into all the land masses that actually still exist, and they're actually exporting and importing these same things that the Bible said it was. So how do you explain that, Jason? If science overpulls the Bible based on what you believe is creation, right? Well, they can prove that there was a flood, right? They proved that they said they found an ark. So if science is using archaeology to find all of these so-called things that you're saying couldn't have existed or was manipulated or not manifested, how are they using so-called science to find these same things in the Bible? Why are they trying to gather things that was found in the tabernacle, right? Why are they trying to, they don't have the Ark of the Covenant, but guess what they said? Ethiopia has it. That's a lie, because the scriptures tell us what happened the last time a heathen nation had the Ark of the Covenant, right? It's real. This Bible does not miss. But the problem is most people realize I'm a sinner. I'm never going to change. For whatever reason, they feel that God don't love them or rock with them. So because of that, they rather say, well, hey, I'm going to just rock with the other side and do it. Why does the food have to be divine? I think it's time is most power, right? Why does the flood have to be divine? Because the Most High said he was going to flood the earth for the wickedness, right? That's the whole thing. Why is that an issue in regards to them saying the flood of the Bible in science? These are scientists saying the flood of the Bible, the flood of the Bible. We have proof that the flood actually happened. They're using science to get that. These are people who are world-renowned scientists. They're actually getting this information, getting the studies, going out to the areas that it was supposed to take place in, prove it, and then say, yep, the flood happened. Yeah, the Bible is real. Because if that's the case, why do you think they were so quick to put in God we trust on the Bible? I mean, on the money, right? Why do you think they put a pyramid there? Why can't it just be part of the earth's growth? Because it's not, Jason. It's not. It's not, right? And not only did the Israelites know that the Most High work is completely 100% provable, right? Esau has went out there. That's who Zondervan was. He spent his entire fortune and bankrupt numerous millionaires, right? To create this Bible dictionary, right? It took him years and years and years of doing it. And you know what he did after he realized? Well, after his family said he realized that the Bible was real, because he was an atheist. He used science, right? He used every resource that he had, Jason, right? To create this Bible dictionary, right? Given all types of illustrations, the maps of the ancient world, everything, right? Conservative scholarship, comprehensive in scope, right? Concise definition of persons, places, objects, events, and concepts. Over 5,000 entries, right? Surveys of the books of the Bible, information about archaeological finds in the Holy Land, hundreds of illustrations, maps of the ancient world, right? From the time of Abraham to the height of the Roman Empire, 2000 BC to 117 AD. He helped create this out of everybody else's pockets. The Most High put a spirit of pride on him, right? To believe in his sciences. And he thought that was going to basically build him up, right? Just like this Daggett dude. He's hey, they're going to pay me. They're going to give me this. They're going to give me that pride. And at the end, right? He already said what he was, Abraham. He said he was white. He was a Caucasian. So just in case you didn't know, Jason, your biblical ancestry, since you like science, you can look this up for yourself. You are of the people of Edom. You come through the genealogy of Esau. The Israelites come through the genealogy, and it's not, bro, the world is not 4.5 billion years old. Let's cut it out. They can't even prove it. The oldest tree on the planet is 12,000, based on them using scientific research. 12,000 years old. So how do you have a 12,000-year-old tree, but you ain't got a 1 billion old anything? How? See what I'm saying? That type of stuff is foolishness. So this is the reason why when Zondervan found out, his family members came out and told us. He said his wife she was distraught, but he was on an actual like rageful, wrathful, like, I'm going to prove that the Bible was wrong. I'm going to use science to prove that the Bible was wrong. He had enough money. He was very, 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 very wealthy, right? Once he found out that the Bible was real, they did a press conference, said, hey, you know what? I did the research. I completed the book. This is the Compact Bible Dictionary. I completed it. This is the maps. This is the archaeology. This is the infrastructure. This is all the pictures. This is everything. I put my life savings as well as about 20 to 30 other millionaires complete legacy on the line to make this book. You know what he did? When he found out the Bible was real and he was wrong, he killed himself. He did it. That's the whole thing. You said the universe is much older. How do you gauge the actual age of the universe, Jason? Do you see how you're going down a rabbit hole? How do you gauge that? Do you fly a missile as far as it won't go outside of the actual dome that's around the world? There's a firmament that doesn't allow. If you think that they're going into outer space, and they got a space station and all of that, and they went to the moon and landed on the moon, you're wrong. They never met. That's why the Most High put a firmament around it. You don't think he knew that? Y'all tried to create the Tower of Babel, right? Y'all thought y'all was going to build a tower to heaven. That didn't work. Now y'all say, well, we're going to make missiles to go. We're gonna make a space station, all right? We're going to go out there, all right? They're going to say, oh, well, it was a black hole, right? Think about it. It's a black hole. No, that's the judgment of the Most High, right? They can assume. That's why it's called a hypothesis or a hypotenuse. It's an educated guess. They can tell you whatever, but what's the way to fire, Jason? Can a scientist tell you what the way to fire is? Come on, man. Let's keep going, bro. Let's jump down to Ezekiel 27 and 36, right? Because we're gonna just keep going into proving how scientists don't learn, that they don't know anything. Once they get to that point of where they get, the Most High just says, because they have a spirit of lying on them. This country, when you're a reprobate, you will believe the lies that you're taught. When you have a reprobate mind and spirit, right, you will believe the lies that you were taught. When we're all in the world, we believe in the reprobated. Oh yeah, I'm a real ninja. I'm a this, I'm a that. No, you were an Israelite. You got laws to actually keep up with. You have feast days that you're supposed to be actually doing, but we weren't doing it. Get them likes, share, subscribe, man. We got to get this around to the four corners of the earth, man. We got to make sure that our people that might be in Brazil that may have to look at this with the auto captions on are able to see it, right? Our people that are out there in Venezuela, after our country crashed their actual money system, now they coming over here. Now, the Venezuelans attacking the gangs and they coming in the house taking the rent money. Come on, man. Cut it out. Y'all need to be serving the Lord, right? Exactly. For thou, right? When the Lord files down one of your loved ones, right, or files you down in a hospital, that's cool. You know what? Christianity isn't real. Yes, Christianity is insanity. That's cool, right? That's cool. But at the end of the day, all the scoffers, everyone's coming in scoffing. The Most High will be visiting you very soon, right? And I pray when he visits you, he puts the same effort 1,000,000 times over into visiting you as you did to come and type folly on this chat, right? And that's something that I hope the Most High, really scopes in regards to it. Well, hey, we have a flock of atheists, right? But when you're not able to feed your family, when you're not able to get that medicine that your child needs, or your girl needs, or your grandma or your mom needs, just remember, faith is ignorance. Hey, mom, you just gotta go. Hey, I'm not getting down there praying for anything because I don't believe in anything. That's cool. Because guess what? You probably think that you're a God, right? Because of the actual lineage and the bloodline of your people, but that's fine. Most High put you under your own delusion. I'm fine with that, right? But as for me and my nation, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, right? We're going to keep these commandments. We're going to do thus say the Lord, right? Don't matter what you say. It doesn't bother me, right? Because if we probably go to your page, you probably got video games that you thought was going to get monetized. You thought you was going to be a millionaire and an influencer. And the Lord said, nope, you're not. So now you got Call of Duty videos on your page from 2-3 years ago. They got probably 100 views a piece, and you ain't making no money. Now I'm mad. I'm mad. And that's fine, right? That's the folly that the Most High has show that you guys are a base people, these heathens, right? We got to look at it for what it is, because this is for you right here. Ezekiel 27:36, right? The merchants among the people shall hiss at thee, right? Yeah. Thou shalt be a terror and never shalt be anymore, right? Let's get the precept for that, because this is prophecy. Prophet Jeremiah spoke about this, right? The prophet Jeremiah spoke about this. We'll go over to Jeremiah 50, right? Jeremiah 50. And you know what? And it's cool that they don't believe, because the heathens could never serve the Most High. They never called on them. So guess what? Fidel, it don't matter what you say, right? Because you're a heathen. You're proving it. You've never called on the Most High. You've never respected the Most High. You trust in your God, which is gold, oil, and drugs. This is why a lot of y'all heathens come over here and say, throw away your chains so you can go dumpster diving for it, right? Oh, it's the Bible 2,000 years ago, right? You got to believe something if you believe that it's a 2,000-year-old book. Since it's faith, then that must be a lie too, right? But see, look, when your people use science to write this, the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, at the end, after the Most High showed him that he was wrong and folly, Esau was so proud he couldn't live with the fact that he was wrong that he deleted himself. He deleted himself, because that's what a coward's going to do. They're not going to deal with it. They're not going to deal with the power. They're not going to deal with the problems. They're not going to deal with the fact that they're wrong. They're going to just say, hey, you know what? You're going to do a Cartman. Screw you guys. I'm out of here. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to delete themselves each and every time. Think about all the movies. What did Hitler do? When he realized, hey, I done messed up and I'm stuck in here and this, that, whatever, he so-called deleted himself with the chick, right? Think about it. Think about it. That's exactly what they do. When they're at the end, they want to try and delete themselves, right? That's what they're going to try and do. That's the easiest way. That's the most cowardly way to get out of there, right? So we just read in Ezekiel 27:36, right? We're going to get the precept that matches up with that. And in case you just came in, I'll read it for you again. As you may have just came in and want to know what we're talking about. Ezekiel 27:36. The merchants among the people shall hiss at thee. Thou shalt be a terror and never shalt be anymore, right? Because guess what? The Most High, right, is going to be tearing it up. He's going to be tearing it up. This is why he's using these different world leaders, these different Edomites in power, right? Harold Daggett, right? Think about it. Think about it, right? They're going to be in a situation. Because when you read verse 32, it says, and in their wailing they shall take up a lamentation for thee and lament over thee, saying, what city is like Tyrus? What city is like these Edomite nations, right? Like the destroyed in the midst of the sea, right? When thy wares went forth out of the seas, thou filledest many people, right? Thou didst enrich the kings of the earth with the multitude of thy riches and thy merchandise, right? And not only was it physical merchandise, it was doctrine as well, to get them on one accord, right? That's when you read down to 36, it says, the merchants among the people shall hiss at thee, thou shalt be a terror and never shalt be anymore. It's talking about Tyre, right? Talking about the nation of Esau, right? These Edomite countries, right? And we go over here to Jeremiah 50:13. This is the prophecy. It says, because the wrath of the Lord, it shall be inhabited. Let me read that from the top. Because of the wrath of the Lord, it shall not be inhabited, right? But it shall be wholly desolate. What are the ports? The ports were wholly desolate because he put that strike spirit on them, right? He's doing that in every sector. Don't y'all remember when GM did this? UPS did this. Now look at what it costs to send UPS. Now look at how much it costs to buy a truck, right? A truck that may have cost you maybe 20 or 30,000, right? Now you're looking at 65, 75,000. They got their raise, but guess what? They said we going up on everything that we're gonna do a strike for. Think about it. The places like fast food restaurants, right? You used to be able to get food, like you can go to McDonald's, you can go to Burger King, any of these little fast food restaurants. What do they say? Hey, they want to raise, they want to make $15, $20 an hour. All right, no problem. Yeah, Big Mac $7, Big Mac meal like $13 in some places, right? You're gonna pay $6, $7 for a Whopper, right? You're gonna pay that. So you're gonna pay the influx of anything. You went from buying, you might want to buy your children some school shoes. They got good grades. They say, Daddy, I want some Nikes, right? Nikes, and they lost all that money on the back end when people was stealing them shoes and backdooring them shoes, right? They let it happen. So that way they can file that insurance claim. So now they can come back and tax you. Now you paying what, $200, $250 for some shoes, right? But the materials that they're using is twice as flimsy as what we had, 20, 30 years ago? They're doing a bait and switch, and Esau's at the head of all of this, right? But we got to look at what the scriptures say, because the scriptures aren't going to lie in regards to what's supposed to happen, right? Verse 13 from the top, we in Jeremiah the 50th chapter, verse 13. Because of the wrath of the Lord, it shall not be inhabited, but shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues, right? Think about it. They be like, dang, that's why if you're an American and you think you're going to travel abroad, be very careful going into these other countries, right? Because when we went into these countries as a country, we ran it up, right? Just like the Haitian president that said, hey, we're not participating in giving our people something that you can't prove works. Next thing you know, some people bust into his house with machine guns, everybody out of there. Now they got a whole new president, and it's still going crazy over there. Because when a person said, hey, we're good over here, we ain't got that issue that y'all got over there. We're not going to put our people through that. We're not doing it. They said, oh, for real? All right, get them out of there. That's exactly how they did it, right? So when y'all hear about Harold Daggett having a mistake on purpose, you know that he was touching people money the wrong way, right? Because you got to think about it. They said they're going to hiss at all her plagues, right? The famine, we're not going to be able to feed, right? And the grocery stores start to close down because they playing around with these ports. People ain't going to be able to, and this is what you really got to think about, right? Most of the stuff that we have a shelf life with certain things, fruits, vegetables, meats, things of that nature, right? You may want a certain type of meat, or things of that nature. For every day of the strike, it puts them behind 7 days in regards to getting those containers out, getting things in, the logistics of moving, because we get a lot of stuff in from all over the place. It's a lot of work that has to get done. So when you're not there in two and a half days, might as well say 3, now everything is behind 21 days. So those vegetables are things that might be coming over. They go to, your farmers markets, right? Or your Whole Food stores, right? A lot of those things that's coming in there, that's coming from outside the country, now they're sitting in that container. And guess what? Them people could care less if that stuff goes bad or not. They still gonna sell it to you. So watch how you see why do you think there's so many recalls on things online right now? There's a recall on this, there's a recall on that, there's a recall on all these different food products: butter, eggs, milk, cheese, right? Rice, poultry, meats, right? Seafoods. All of these things are on the recall right now. Why? Because they probably had this issue going when they said, okay, and they knew about this strike since like May, June, right? They knew this was coming. So like he said in that video, like Harold Daggett says, oh, when we go back to work, instead of doing 30 movements, I'm going to have the guys doing 8 movements. So why do you think you're getting so much stuff recalled? because it's bad. A lot of that stuff is gone bad, man. That's why you go to Walmart, orange juice is $8 a jug, right? So that's what we have to really look at, right? The stick is, I don't know what that is, right? But we have to really look at how they're going to be astonished and hiss at her plagues, right? And it says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. What are they doing right now? They're surrounding what we know is spiritual Babylon, right? It says, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against the Lord. Shout against her round about. She have given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord, take vengeance upon her, as she have done, do unto her. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handled the sickle in the time of harvest, for fear of oppressing the sword. They shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee one to his own land. So those same people that y'all calling migrants, that y'all getting to do all the work, things of that nature, you think they're not going to say, hey, we got to get out of here? We got to get out of here, right? But the scripture's telling us what's going to happen, right? Since the longshoreman strike is over. I already said that. You kind of late, Jason. I already said that, right? But you have to understand what Harold Daggett said. He said they're going to try and hit me with the tariff, right? In regard to taxing certain things that he has going on for himself, right? And he said, guess what? That means we only got to go back to work for 90 days, right? 3 months, right? So we're in October already. So October to November, November to December, December to January. That's 3 months. And it's going to be on the 15th, right? After the presidential elections thing happened. So you don't think things are going to slow down, right? We don't celebrate Christmas. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving. We don't celebrate Halloween. So we could care less about all that stuff that's going to be affected by that. All praises to the Most High, right? So they have an agreement, but I got a question for you. What agreement has your people, right, the Edomites, ever kept without breaking, outside of having a perpetual hatred with the children of Israel, the 12 tribes of Jacob? Every treaty they've broken, every contract they've broken. Why do you think they were about to go on strike? Because they broke a contract with the longshoremen. Harold Daggett, that's what he said out his mouth, right? That's what he said the third week. He said it with a smile. Malls will start to close down. Think about it. This is how they're going to hiss. This is how they're going to hiss at the actual plagues. Because now all the gold, all the silver, all the things that they basically went into a contract agreement on, guess what? Once you can't get that money going no more, and they're saying, hey, my people are starting to pay for it, what you going to do about it? Now it's wartime. So we got 1 strike, 2 strike, 3 strike. Why do you think China's moving into India? They want strategic scenario. I just broke down all the different areas that's associated with the trade. We see it, right? This is why Christopher Columbus had to take a certain trade route to get to where he was going, right? He had to do that because there's rules to this, right? Again, what did he say? He goes, they can't get the goods from China. Shoes, toys, games, clothes, appliances. Just about everything comes on a ship in America. They're going to go out of business, right? You know what else came on the ships to America? Slaves, conquistadors, the pilgrims, sickness, affliction, right? The Israelites came here, right? They were here. The northern kingdom did not keep the laws of the Most High. The Most High kept his promise and brought about the pilgrims, right? He brought about the conquistadors. He brought all of these things, right? China's west coast, though. China is the land of the east, the rising sun, right? No, Japan is the rising sun. They use that logo. But China's on the east, right? It's big enough because they're touching on both sides. So they've moved, just like I said earlier, Turkey is on 2 land masses, so is Asia, right? So you have to think about it. They've made so many garrisons that why you think America's on a lot of land masses? People just don't represent that because they created land. They built roads like they did in Jamaica and the islands. They built all of these different infrastructures just to manipulate their governments. They've done this. This is what is right now. They're ramping. This is how everything's gonna go to war. Once that money gets messed up, bro. And you've seen every mobster movie, drug dealer movie. Once that money gets messed up, the next thing you do is a war, man. We got to go ahead and, man, the money's messed up. So now we got to kill somebody. That's exactly how they felt in these movies, right? So when we think about it, this is what was being spoke about in 2nd Esdras. This is why that hissing was going on, right? Let's get it. 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, right? We're in the Apocrypha, right? The actual hidden books that were taken out by the Protestant church, right? We go into 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, verse 18, right? And it says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, right? Think about it. All this war that's going on, all this stuff that's actually going on, right? I grew up where they say the Israelites came. It's central New York, the Mecca for Mormons. They say, who is they? My dad used to always say that. Who is the they that they say, right? Because Israelites were already here with the Native Americans. Why do you think Christopher Columbus, in the actual movie that they showed about Christopher Columbus coming here, he used this book, the Apocrypha, right? He used the Apocrypha. Yeah, we don't listen to the Mormons. The Mormons said having melanated skin is a curse. And then when you ask them that with a camera on them, they're like, John Smith read the gold plates and stuff like that. Yeah, he did. Okay, no problem, right? So that's how we feel about them. Y'all gonna ride bicycles? That's the whole scenario. Thank you for posting that in there. Come on. You're not supposed to. Do you even know what not supposed to spill your seed means? Do you know that? Do you know what that even means? Because it's funny you put that in there, but do you know what that means? Because you have a lot of understanding of the Bible, but you don't believe in the Bible. So is that how it works? Because this is why me and my cousin don't speak. Because he would sit there and talk about the Bible, right? And then he couldn't explain what he was saying. I said, so you're using someone else's talking points. Most atheists were created because it's real easy to put people into a scenario where you crash out. Y'all the crash outs. The atheists, y'all don't have nothing to believe in. You have nothing to live for, right? They put a little bit of that atheism in Islam. That's why they're willing to crash out. That's how that works, right? So let's go back. Because guess what? This is the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, right? When 2nd Esdras 16 and 18, it says the beginning of famine and of great death, right? Why would it be famine and great death, you say? Well, let's find out. 38 billion the last year passed through the eastern ports that was supposed to be closed. And just because they said they're working on an agreement and stuff like that, you are not there to see how much work is being done or how fast it's being done, right? Every second counts when it comes to getting things on and off the ports. This is why the West Coast has a lot of automation on their ports already. They've already done the automation, but Mr. Dagger's like, oh, I'm not doing that because the machines can't pay taxes. He's worried about his fees and his dues and the things that he's getting under his 501(c) through the union. It's no different than a pastor in the church. Keep giving me offering. I need the taxes to keep going on. That's what he's about. 38 billion in vehicle imports alone last year passed through those eastern ports, right? Exactly. They're already out there, right? Why do you think you have the little thing you put on your windshield to go through the toll booths? He was talking about that too. Oh, what about those union? Everybody's a so-called union worker, right? Where were the union workers for our people? That's the last hired, first fired. Where's their union? Oh no, we can just keep them as, and we can just do the so-called Negroes, Indigenous, Latinos, and Native Americans how we want to. right? But everybody else is a union worker, right? But Fannie Mae went belly up with all those people retirement. What about those union workers? They never fixed that. They never fixed it. A lot of people was unaliving themselves, right? Madoff, when he was out there stealing people's money, having $250,000 parties, Puff Daddy parties, right? They don't think about all this stuff. All this stuff goes over their head. But this is why it's the beginning of sorrow, right? Because of 38 billion of imports passing through, what is it else outside of the vehicles? You got produce, car and auto and machinery parts, right? You got pharmaceuticals, you got clothing, seafood, coffee, cocoa, all of these important things, honey, right? All of these things are coming in and out of all those ports that close on the East Coast, from Delaware all the way around to Houston, right? They're going to keep on doing this, right? Because it has to do it. No, I'm an Israelite. We're not Catholic. We're not Catholic, right? I'm an Israelite. That's what I am. I'm of the tribe of Benaniyah, which is the tribe of Benjamin, right? By way of my father's father, right? Also, you got to really think about, why is it the beginning? Why is it saying the beginning of sorrows, right? It's just the beginning of famine and mourning and great death, right? The beginning of wars, right? And the power shall stand in fear, because guess what? They know that the jig is up. Why do you think they're making all these bunkers and things of that nature? They're trying to stockpiling with all types of food and games and treats and things of that nature, right? This country's always been doing some foolishness. Why do you think the Titanic sunk? They've done the documentaries. They said, hey, guess what? We got these people that are bankers that are going to affect the money. Let's put them they're on a ship. Now, all of a sudden, this ship just hits the actual iceberg and everybody goes down. All those bankers that were going to basically bring in different laws and things that was going to balance out how they were trying to tax everything, right? They put a hole in it. I'm not worried about them putting a hole in it. It's the point of why they even said that happened in the first place. Those bankers that was on that scenario, they couldn't deal with the federal. They wasn't rocking with the Federal Reserve like that. When you play with Esau money, it's always going to go down the same way. We're not big enough fish to fry about it. They put all this information out here. They put it in books. They put it in articles. They make documentaries. They make movies about it. They put it right in your face. Right? They put it right in your face and they're like, what you going to do about it? Right? But think about it. The exports that we have here in this country, exports include 45% of waterborne vegetation. So anything that's grown like on a farm, you have to water it, like crops and things of that nature, that's exports of 45% that's going out. Right? So now, when that ain't going out and it's behind 21 days, guess what? You think they're going to pay them farmers? Right? They barely want to pay a physician when they're getting like government insurance. Because I work in that industry. And a lot of them say, hey, we don't take this. We don't take meta this, meta that. Because they don't like, and I'm like, well, why don't you take it? And a physician will tell you, because they don't like to pay us. It takes a year and a half to pay. Right? So again, that's how they operate that, right? That's how they operate. So exports include 45% of waterborne exports, all types of vegetation and things that's grown that we send to other countries, right? You name it, because we know what our USDA is doing, right? Again, U.S. pork exports, 30% of beef exports, right? So if they're including, now this says 45% of all waterborne U.S. pork exports, 45%. So our country sends out a lot of pork, right? 30% of beef exports are shipped out from these same ports that are closed. Now, I wouldn't even say closed. They have now been destabilized internally. Because if he's telling the people, hey, drag your feet. Hey, you want to put that PTO in? You ain't got to come to work. Hey, take your vacation time now. While we're in negotiation, you think the Most High's not putting the spirit on him. This is why the scripture says right here, it's the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. Because guess what else is on these ships? that people are not thinking about, right? And that was from those numbers I just gave you from the U.S. Meat Export Federation, their spokesperson, Joe Shield, right? It says a quarter of U.S. egg and egg products, right? Another 70% of all poultry exports, 69% of containerized medicines that are supposed to go out, 1/3 of those actual containers that leave out, they actually have life-saving medicines that leaves out of Norfolk, Virginia, right? All of these things that are going out, and I already said Fair Use Act of Section 107, right? I already said that if y'all worried about the numbers, right, and the algorithm. But we got to look at what we're sending out, what we got coming back in, right? Machinery parts that help run things in the hospital. A lot of things that we don't create here because we're doing bartering and trading. As we all know how the money's working right now, a lot of countries ain't accepting our money, right? But this is how these things happen, right? It's telling you. It says, in the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine, we see the famine with this export-import, and that stuff just sitting there. It only has a certain amount of time before it starts to go bad. That's why they got different seaports. You can drop it off, re-refrigerate it, do things of that nature, right? Colder climates, they keep that stuff cold, right? A lot of that stuff is only going to last so long. What you think these countries going to do when they get this bad food and meat and eggs and medicine that's no good or anymore because it's been sitting in the hot sun on the dock, right? You got all these hurricanes going on and things of that nature. So now a lot of those docks are closed or destabilized on top of that. But they're not even thinking about that part, right? But this is why it's the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. This is how you see it told you in steps. The scripture told you in steps, the beginning of war. So the beginning of sorrows first, right? People getting laid off. Not enough jobs. Charlie, people trying to find jobs can't find them. You're most likely when you're trying to apply for a job, you're applying for what they call a shadow job. And what that means is jobs like these big companies, like you name it, Wally World. You know what I'm talking about when I say Wally World, right? They used to be 24 hours. They're not anymore. A lot of these companies will put out a job ad saying, hey, we're going to pay you $3 or $4 more than the person that's already in here working to get them to raise the morale, and it's fake. You think this information ain't coming out? It's all out here, right? They're doing this stuff on purpose. It's not by mistake. It's on purpose, right? So they're doing this. They're putting these shadow jobs on. So you're wondering, I'm qualified for the job. Why nobody's calling me, right? Why nobody's hitting me up about these jobs and things of that nature? Because the job doesn't exist. They're playing games with people. So the beginning of sorrows and great mournings. You're mourning because guess what? A lot of these people are eliminating themselves. A lot of these people are becoming victims in these actual institutions of health that you will go check into, right? Are you rushing yourself to get to the earth? Oh, we got to get to the earth. Guess what? They're going to charge you for that ambulance ride. They're going to charge you the sign you in. They're going to charge you to sit in that waiting room. They're going to charge all of that stuff you're getting charged until your insurance company gets donut hold. When you have that insurance that, hey, we can't do this for you, can't, because it's donut hold. That's the reason why they will offer you genetic medicines up front, because you get donut hold. All of this is public knowledge. None of this stuff is hidden. I'm not saying anything that there's not numerous of videos on here about, as well as documents. All of these things are shown online, right? So none of the stuff that I'm saying is of any type of thing that can't be proven, because you can see the videos there. I don't have time to put those up in the background and have to go to this and that. No, we don't have time for that. We're going to use the Bible. We're going to use the word of the Most High to show how this is going to go, right? So the great mournings, you're mourning. Now, it says the beginning of famine, because the mourning's coming through the pestilence, right? The fungus is among us, right? Again, Jason, you say you don't believe in the Bible, but you quote the Bible. I'm not really sure how that works, but I guess it works for you, right? It says the beginning of famine and great death, right? The beginning of wars and the power. So after the famine, and the great death, which we're already seeing that. Then it says the beginning of wars and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, right? Because we got to really look at this. Behold, the famine and plague, tribulation, anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So they're doing, those things are being sent as a way to make amends, right? As a lot of that stuff is coming under agreement. Because guess what? You chose to say the Most High wasn't real. You chose to laugh at the scriptures. You chose to enslave the children of Israel. They chose to do that, and it was no problem for them to do that. Let's go to Sirach 40, right? We go over to Sirach 40. Let's get a precept on it. They chose to do this. And then they wonder why the Most High is going to do what he's going to do, right? Let's get the precept. Sirach 40 and 9, right? It says death and bloodshed, strife and the sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. These things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood, right? That's why it's going to keep going on. This is why it says in verse 8 that it's going to be sevenfold more upon the sinners of that death, bloodshed, strife, sword. Sword is that war, right? That strife, that famine, that tribulation, all these things are going to be coming, right? If y'all can't see how everything, and you can precept that with Esther 11 and 8, right? You can precept that with that, but I'm going to hold that precept and go back, right? Because we got to really look at those amendments that is sent for, right? Let's go down to verse 21. We back in 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 21. Behold, the victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, right? And what are the victuals, you say? Food and provisions, right? Man, y'all don't, man, hey, that's on y'all. Y'all don't believe in the word of the Most High? No worries, because the scripture already said what's going to happen, right? It says, the victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, right? Again, that's the food and the provisions, that they shall think themselves to be in good cause. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Because think about it. You had your Dollar Trees. Now the Dollar Tree is a $1.25 tree. You had your dollar stores. You had your dollar menus. Everything was $1. Everything was good and cheap, right? Now look at what the scripture says, right? It says that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, right? The sword, the famine, right? And great confusion. Hold that precept and jump over to Revelations, right? Revelations 18 and 8. And it says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, right? Because when that fungus was among us, right? When that pestilence was sent by the Most High, right? It came in one day, right? What is that? Foolishness, man. It's more folly. See, when the problem is when you bringing out the truth, right? When you bringing forth the truth, thus say the Lord, here come all these scoffers because they know at the end of the day, there's no hope for these heathen nations, man. If you are a so-called Negro, indigenous Latino of non-Spaniard bloodline, Native American, right? Not a $5 Native American by way of your mother, but by way of your father, right? Then you need to be repenting, getting yourself in line with the Lord, because guess what? Jacob's trouble is going to ramp up right through these kind of scenarios. And you're going to be caught out here with no jacket and find out it's a cold world, right? Revelations 18 and 8 from the top. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judged her. How is she going to be burnt with the fire? Of warfare. It's gonna be, you're gonna see it. You think you're seeing stuff right now, Al Jazeera and all these other news installations of what's going on over there, just smoke and things of that nature. You got to think about all the Native American burial grounds that was actually disturbed and destroyed and deconsummated in regards to these heathens wanting to run pipelines through there, running oil and gas pipelines. They were willing to kill sick dogs, use water hose. It was the same thing, right? Bill Cosby was out there in the midst of that. They said, oh no, Bill Cosby, you giving these Native Americans food and water and you helping them out? You're helping them out? You're going to jail. We're going to say that you was out here finessing females to get, you know what I'm saying, to lay them down, to lay with them. We're going to say you was finessing females. We're going to make you use up all your fortune so you ain't got no money to help these Native Americans anymore, right? And basically, that's what they did with Cosby. They're going to do that, right? Hey, we know that if you're not keeping the laws of the Most High, you're out here in the world, you're a reprobated mind, right? You got to really think about these scenarios. So when you see your R. Kellys, your Puffies, your Cosbys, all of these different people that are going to jail, right? Think about all the ones that's not going to jail, right? Think about how they're getting away, right? They're going over to Bali. All of these different CEOs that have just stepped down within the last month. The Nike CEO stepped down. All of these CEOs of companies, all these businesses, hey, this is how you're going to see the famine coming in. All of this stuff is drying up. Now all of a sudden they're going to say, well, say that the port's closed. They'll put it together. They're playing with you. They're already 6 months to a year ahead of you before they drop what they're going to tell you. They've already rehearsed it. So now when it comes out, it makes it sound like it's in normal time. It's not in real time. You're already a year behind in regards to it, right? So you got to think about, this is why these wars are ramping up, because that's where they're at. They're at the brink of war, right? You got to think about it. And it says here, in verse 21, it says, behold, those victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth. They was up to a certain, now they're blaming it on inflammation. They're blaming it on the rise and the drop of the dollar, right? They're trying to say inflation is what's creating this. No, it's not. They're basically to the point of where they're at the bottom of the barrel. And that's what they're actually giving. That's why you got $8 a gallon orange juice at the Walmart out here in Texas, right? That's what you're looking at, $8.28. If you're in Alaska, if you're in an area where they have to fly in your food and there's no roads to drive it in, they said in Alaska, I watched a video where the dude was in the store showing the prices. The milk was like $13. A bag of Doritos was like $11. Like, he was showing all the different things that's like through the roof. He said because they have to fly it in because they're in a town that has no roads. Something happened where the roads were destroyed. So think about those people that's in North Carolina, that's in those flooded out areas that just got hit by the will of the Most High via a hurricane, right? Where he had to go through there and bring destruction. There's a lot of the roads gone. What do you think they're going to see in regards to food? If those ports are closed, how much do you think people are going to start paying for simple things? Y'all got to start thinking. The Most High was not playing with y'all. All of these things that happened. The hurricane came through and tore all that stuff up, right? Then you had the whole thing with them blowing up the cell phones and blowing up the pagers over there. And they said, oh, yeah? And then they killed Buddy from Hezbollah, last Saturday? They said, oh, yeah? We're going to shoot 200 missiles at you. See how you like that, right? That's exactly that. These are all different strikes that are happening. Now you got to strike at the port, right? Oh, we're not going to work. We're not going to do this. But you got pharmaceuticals coming in and out. What about the hospitals? Y'all say y'all love the children so much. What about the children, right? What about the animals? Y'all love the dogs and the cats. They love those. What about the veterinarians? They're not going to have that, right? What about the machinery parts that's needed for the agriculture, right? For the farmers, for those people out there doing that, all those things that ain't coming through. Y'all not thinking about how this is going to push things back. And when you start to go in the store and you don't see stuff because you get people that get the spirit of gluttony on them. Oh, I gotta go hoard all this rice. I gotta go hoard all these fruits and all this meat. I got me 2 deep freezers. Yeah, we're gonna have our meat. We're gonna have our this and that. We're gonna have all that. Okay, no problem, right? They got everything. They figure they got everything figured out, right? Everything figured out. We just had that. What we had before that, we had a cyber strike, right? Couple months back. No flying out. You couldn't get in your bank app, right? You couldn't take a flight. There was a lot of installations that you could not utilize because of that cyber strike. That happened in June. So we think about all these different strikes where you can't do stuff, where things are affected, right? And then you start asking yourself questions. Is the Bible really real? Well, hey, to the children of Israel, it is. All right? It is, right? Because we got to really start saying, hey, I'm going to take accountability. Because look at it right here. Verse 22 in the 2nd Ezra, 16th chapter. It says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and of other, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So if you're not down up because you can't get food and medicine, right? And then the Most High is bringing natural disasters to destroy stuff. FEMA said, we know that your whole city got destroyed. We got $750 for you. But yet they're giving other countries $750 billion to fight their proxy altercations internationally, right? That's what they're doing. Only reason why they're doing that is because you got Ashkenazis in control everywhere. That's exactly what you got. Y'all really gotta think about this. You got these Ashkenazis in control of everywhere, bro. And if you think of, man, I went and looked it up the other night. I mean, they're running so many countries. Guess what? Mexico's first woman president was sworn in this week, right? She's the 66th president of Mexico. Her name is Claudia Sheinbaum. Now, you already know what that name sounds like, right? But guess what? She's not an Issacharite. See how they play these games, right? Her father's father, whose name is Carlos Sheinbaum Yotzavilts, right? He was basically involved in these scenarios, right? Chon Juan Sheinbaum, because I just said her father's name, which is Carlos, right? But his father, because we got to go into father's father, we got to get the pedigree, right? Chon Juan Sheinbaum Abramovich, right? So I don't know if it was supposed to be Abramovich, right? Was an Ashkenazi from Lithuania who migrated to Mexico in 1928 to work in the jewelry trade and was involved in the Mexican Communist Party, right? So her father was part of the Mexican Communist Party, right? Her father, Carlos. Now she's the first woman president sworn in, right? She's the 66th president, right? That's what she is. They have them in place everywhere. The prime minister of Russia is an Ashkenazi, right? The actual dude from people that we're helping right now, and I forgot the name of the country, but the people that we're helping right now, I don't want to say Yugoslavia because that's not it, but y'all know the country with the blue and yellow flag. They're basically Ukraine. Thank you. He's an Ashkenazi, right? So at the end of the day, all of these, and you can look it up. This is public knowledge. People don't have time because they're too busy stuck in TikTok world. They're too busy on Facebook looking at foolishness, looking at food recipes, and look at this pet, and oh, look at the baby video, and look at this and that, being distracted with foolishness, right? But they're sitting here playing right in your face, right? They're telling your children things that when you come home, now you have to reprogram your children because they done deprogrammed them with foolishness, right? But bet somebody's sending me that I'm in the mall now, all right? And guess what? You can be in the mall now. That's fine, all right? Because you're buying a bunch of stuff that will guess what? If you're laying your riches upon earth, guess what? Moth and rust will corrupt them. Because you got to really think about it. He was really, really adamant, Harold Daggett, when he was talking about this, right? He said the construction workers are getting laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel and the lumber stops coming in, they lose their jobs. He said, and I quote, this is Harold Daggett, the International Longshoremen Association president. He says, I will cripple you. I will cripple you. And you have no idea what that means. Nobody does, right? He says, I will shut the ports down throughout the world. This is the pride spirit that's on Esau, right? That's why it says they were going to perish by the famine. And then ones that escaped the famine was going to actually die from the war. Because guess what? Once people can't feed one another, because that's World War II, a lot of people died from famine. It died from the famine. It wasn't from any kind of weaponry. A lot of people just died from not being able to get food because guess what? Nobody was doing business with each other. That's why I was calling it a world war, right? But again, they're going to play in your face about it. They're going to play in your face and act like it's like, oh, well, we don't want these guns in here. We want to take the gun rights and we want to change this and that. Nah, trust me, they're going to, you're going to die quicker. You can get shot by a bullet. That's cool, right? But there's a thing called accuracy. If you miss, that's cool. But if I cripple your food infrastructure, the quality of the food coming in is poor, you can't rehab your food. Once it's gone spoiled, you have to throw it out. You can't rejuvenate it. It's not like something that's cold and you microwave it, right? People had cans of lard and bread. Yeah. But guess what? A lot of that wheat gonna get shut down. A lot of these things are gonna get shut completely down. Because guess what? Even, all that stuff that they're trying to eat, it ain't gonna do no good for them. And there's no way to escape the Lord's judgment. Israel, you got to get yourselves in order. The Lord is showing you right now in real time, he's not playing with you. He's not playing with our nation. Either you're going to repent or you're going to die. Make your choice, right? We're going to go over to Isaiah 60 and 12. Let's get some more prophecy talking about those escaping the famine and being killed by the sword, right? Isaiah 60 and 12 reads, for nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Because guess what? These heathen nations ain't going to serve. They're not going to serve the Most High. They're not going to keep these laws because they can't. They're not going to do it. Their pride won't allow them to do it. That's the reason why you have people in charge that says, I don't care what's going to happen. I will cripple you. I will cripple you. He's proud of saying that. The Most High put that pride spirit on them. So when y'all think about how these people in power talk, that's bold enough to get out here and say it and don't have any kind of care about how you feel about it, guess what? This is why it goes down like that, right? We're going over to Mark 13 and 8. It says, for a nation, because we just went in regards to it, says, for a nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, right? They're going to be utterly wasted. Let's see what Christ, because he's basically prophesying the future destruction, right? For a nation, right? And we're in Mark 13 and 8. For nation shall rise against nation, right? Kingdom against kingdom. There shall be earthquakes in diverse places, which we're already getting. We're already getting kingdom against kingdom. The Saudis all against each other. The nations against one another. All the nations beefing. They saying we got each other's back, right? But they don't. Right? You think they got each other's back until it comes down to either you or me. Then they're going to be aiming them missiles at each other at that point, right? Until there's only one superpower. It says, there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrow. This is what I was talking about in that 2 Ezra 16 and 18, the beginning of sorrows, right? Christ is already telling us what's going to happen. Verse 9, it says, but take heed to yourselves. Examine yourselves. Do what you need to do to get yourself in order and align yourself with the Most High God and keeping his laws and doing thus say he, not thus say yourself, right? For they shall deliver you up to councils and in the synagogues, right? They shall be beaten and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake for a testimony against them. Right? It says the gospel must be first published among all nations. So we're telling them, hey, We're the Israelites. Hey, we know what you guys are doing. And we're telling our people that's in countries that's impoverished, or they're wondering why you're being treated in such a manner. Guess what? It must be published in all nations, right? Does it mean that every nation gets salvation? No. No, we were scattered for our sins as a nation of people, right? But guess what? Everyone's going to get the opportunity to actually hear, hey, guess what? You should have did what the Most High said do. You should have did that. You had your opportunity, right? I'm going to get Revelations 18 and 9, right? Revelations 18 and 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, right, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, right? Because guess what? It already told you earlier, the fires, right? It told you it was gonna be a burning that was gonna happen. That's gonna be that nuclear war. That's gonna be those woes that it was referring to, right? He said he's gonna shut down the ports of the world. The Most High is using him as a puppet to bring forth this prophecy, right? So y'all remember that name, Harold Daggett, man, because trust me, he's talking about automation, but he's being used as an automation to actually help bring forth this scenario, right? And I'm going to get Amos as my last precept. I'm going to get Amos. I'm going to go to Amos 4:26, right? Because y'all got to, trust me, man. It's these things are going to happen. These scoffers are here, right? These scoffers that are here are going to be the main ones ready to delete themselves. And that's fine, right? Because guess what? That's what if that's the will of the Lord, so be it. I'm not going to argue with the will of the Lord. Amos 4:26, right? Wait, no, that's not Amos 4:26. Oh, I wrote the wrong chapter down. But instead it says, the kings of the earth, right, stood up and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against his Christ, right? And I got that in Amos, but I think I wrote down the wrong book, chapter, verse. But the thing is what we have to understand, right? And that's going to be my last precept. Still want to read it. We have to really think about what's going to happen. This Armageddon is going to happen. The rulers are gathering together now. They think they're going to be able to fight against the Most High. That's what they're going to make an agreement on that, and they're going to break that. That's going to go sideways on them. We can see right now they came with every little trickery that they can actually come with to try to separate or destroy us, right? And by doing so, all they're doing is speeding up their own judgment, right? That's what they're actually doing when they do that. When the Most High returns by way of his son with the sword, those missiles start falling, that pestilence and all of that scenario comes to a head. A lot of y'all that was on here scoffing are going to wish that you had that opportunity to actually listen and actually do what was supposed to be done. Because I'm telling you, it's a wrap. It's definitely a wrap for y'all, man. It's a wrap for a lot of us who are not in, because 2/3 of Israel is not going to make it. Just want to let you know that 2/3 of Israel is not going to make it. You don't want to be in that 2/3 club, man. You do not want to be in that 2/3 club. Let's see here. I'm going to get the law here, the battle axes. We do say keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Like, share, subscribe. As we are trying to spread the word of the Most High to the four corners of the earth, right? Let me get a law, and we're going to get up out of here so everybody can get ready for the day of preparation. Let's see here. What law do I want this week? Let's see here. All right. So I'm going to get Exodus 21 and 16, right? 21 and 16. Khan had the 86th one. Shalom salute, Captain Jerubbaal. Exodus 21 and 16. He that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death, right? They stolen us, right? They stolen us with false doctrine. They stolen us from our countries, right? They stolen our heritage, right? They tried to remix what we're supposed to do. They try to tell us being Israelites, oh, you can't be that. He that stealeth the man and selleth him, they sold us all this false doctrine and understanding. And they sold us through slavery, right? They stole us, they sold us, right? If he be found in his hand, ain't we still found here? We're found here. Try to leave this country without a passport. Try to go back to your country of your nationality or your ethnicity that your father's from to see what happens, right? Because we're still found in their hand. Trust we are. It says, he shall be surely put to death. God is not a man that he should lie, right? Again, I am Soldier E. Hood, Benaniyah of the Battle Axes of the Most High. Please tune in this evening for First Works Friday with the mighty soldiers Donovan and Razatakia, right? And then tomorrow we'll be having a powerful Sabbath class. I think Captain Yar is doing class this week. All praises, Most High. And again, man, keep your eyes on the prize. Don't let them just throw it over your head. All praises to the Most High for this great class edification, man, for this knowledge that the Most High has spread. Because trust me, all of these nations that's involved, they got to pay, man. The Most High got the receipts. It's in his word. That's the reason why they say, oh, the Bible's so fake. No, it's not. Because all of these trade routes, all of these countries that's doing these trades, they still exporting and importing these things to this day, right? To this day. And with that, I am just a humble servant of the Most High, right? I am nothing without him. I'm nothing without his word. I'm nothing without keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, right? I'm Soldier E. Hood, Benaniyah, the Battle Axes of the Most High. I say, Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem Hamashat Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yasharala. And with that, I'm going to say Shalom.